Okay, I believe it's streaming. And
Looks
I
like we
believe
are. I just
we're
got a
recording.
notification. Mhm.
Okay. We'll open the meeting.
Call the time, please.
It is 7:03 p.m. And we'll go do the roll call.
All right.
Please, Robin.
Colby,
I'm here.
Catherine,
Here.
Arthur.
Let me check on the attendees.
Okay.
Okay, I believe it's streaming. and
Looks like
believe
we are. I just
we're
got a
recording.
notification.
Yep, that's my feedback. Let me get rid of that.
Okay, and you may want to text Arthur just to let him know that we're on.
7:03 p.m.
Okay, Robin, I'm here. Nick,
Yes, here.
Ren. Yes, I see you. Okay, Fred,
Here.
great. Matt, I'm going to put excused at the moment. Lee,
Affirmative, working on technical detail to get the camera.
no worries, Lee. You work it out. Susanna,
Yes.
Paige, here. Kevin. I don't see Kevin. Okay. Sean
Here.
and Jake.
Here.
Thank you, Jake. All right, we have quorum.
You forgot about me, Robin.
Oh my gosh.
Taylor.
You're right. I had already checked you in. I'm sorry, Tess. Tess,
Here.
great. So sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
And I know Matt is excused. He told me he wouldn't be able to make it tonight.
Matt
So-
did? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're
Well-
just waiting on Arthur.
Yeah, we'll keep going. And I'm sure he'll.
Okay.
I'm going
All
to
right.
look one more time in attendees list. Let's see, Arthur. Okay, we'll have to move forward then. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. And I'm so glad we have a big meeting ahead of us tonight. And I just wanted to thank you for all coming back and on our second, we have a very busy early 2022 to move forward with NPGs and other ideas that you can please bring me and bring the rest of the board how to spend the rest of our administration. With that being said, we'll move into to our hold on. What else do I have here? We'll approve the general board minutes from November 16th.
Yep.
Can you read that motion?
Yep. Let me get up to speed here. Okay. Motion A to approve the GTLNC November 16th, 2021 general board minutes. Do I have a first?
First. Nick
That
Baker.
was Nick. Thank you, Nick.
Mhm.
Do I have a second?
Sean.
Sean. Thank you, Sean. All right. Discussion on the minutes. Ren?
Yes, I've asked a couple of times now for some guidelines from Dunn about what is and isn't required and appropriate for minutes. In looking at our minutes here, I see some things that bother me a bit, just because it seems too verbose, too conversational in some senses. Things are mentioned that I don't think really are GTLNC business issues. And I also, some of the comments I don't think have caught the gist of it. So anyway, I'm concerned. Colby, have you talked to Gibson about getting us some real, do this, don't do that kind of guidance on our minutes?
Gibson said, don't be too specific. He said it should not be essentially they call it a stenographer's interpretation.
It's not a transcript.
It's on video. It's on video. So if
Ren,
anybody needs to know
I
what
have a
happened.
question. In what area do you feel that is the case? Because my minutes are pretty, it's basically just talking about.
Actually, you know what? Gibson's raising his hand. He's right here.
Okay,
Let me
great,
just have him
great.
talk. Hi, Gibson.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, so I think one thing I just kind of emphasized is the minutes policy per the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, per bonk, is the minimum is you're just supposed to have the start of the time, the roll call of the neighborhood council board members, noting the time of any board members who arrive after the meeting is called to order or who leave before the adjournment of the meeting, the actions taken on any items, including the board vote count of each board member by name, noting how they voted for, against, abstained, recused, illegible, or absent in roll call or any other type of notation. Thus far, I understand sort of what's being said, but I haven't had an issue with this board's meetings. And so I'm not sure if the board wants to take a different route, but thus far I haven't seen something that's so concerning. But in accordance to what Bonk is requiring, things are in accordance correctly.
Okay, so it sounds pretty limited in terms of what's required. So beyond that is our own policy in effect, then we set the policy of what additional information we provide or don't provide?
I usually say less, more is good, especially when it comes to minutes, because board members have the opportunity to take, for stakeholders have an opportunity to see detail what's being discussed. And it's never been an issue in my view, the way this board takes minutes.
Okay. I guess one more question then, in terms of public comment, we get some good public comment at our meetings. Frankly, we also get some things that are at best off topic and at worst just formal attempts to disrupt our meeting. I wonder if it's a good idea for us to be including public comments. The other element of it, even if we had good comments, an issue may be so serious that we have 40 or 50 people show up from the public to comment, and suddenly our minutes volumes, even with just 3-minute summaries. Is to have a policy of not including the public comments.
I think if the board wants, again, if the board wants to go a little bit of a different route in terms of public comment, I think one thing has been, as far as you have the 3 sufficient ones, I think you are good to go. There hasn't, as far as you have, as I mentioned, right, per bonk, the 3 required ones is the start of the meeting, the roll call, and then every action taken on the board. So if there's a consensus that we want to minimize what was highlighted as minutes in the public comment, the board can do that.
Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate that.
So Gibson, what you're saying is the public comment is for action?
No, on your agenda, right? I mean, if you're
Yes.
doing the minutes, you don't need to fully detail the whole paragraph in public comment,
Okay,
right? You can just detail the public comment was provided,
yes,
right? As far as you detail, the main 3 points is making sure each board member's vote is documented in every board
Yes.
motion, you're good to go.
thank you.
And making sure you just have the roll call and then the start of the meeting. So
Great.
if that's sufficient and helps you in your workflow in terms of minimizing what's detailed in public comment, that should not be an issue.
Thanks, Gibson. I see Tess Taylor has a hand raised.
Hi, yeah, thank you for that, Gibson. The overview is good. I personally am in favor of more detail rather than less, including public comment or at least a summary. And Robin, if you ever need help with minutes, please let me know. I type fast and take very good notes. I think it's good for the public to be able to look at minutes at a glance and tell what happened. And I think
That's what the recordings are for, luckily.
yes, but people may not have time to look at a 2-hour recording. They can glance at meeting minutes. So once again, I offer my help if you need it, Robin. That's all.
Thank you, Tess. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? I see Jonathan Gregory. Hi, Jonathan.
I just want, thank you. Hi. I'd like to call to everyone's attention that Rain is talking about perhaps the minutes from the Plum Committee. Those minutes would be very different than the minutes of the general meeting. It is all of the board members, all of the members of that particular committee have demonstrated that they need enough information, commonsensical stuff like case numbers. That's what's being talked about, I think. Rain is looking for generality. the minutes of that particular committee probably need some detail so someone knows what's being referenced. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Any other comments about this motion? I'm looking for hands raised. I see two. Jonathan, just, oh, I'm going to David Wheatley. Hi, David.
Hey, Colby, how's it going? Good to see
Great.
everybody. I'm stakeholder in Toluca Lake. I think the minutes need to have enough information for an average IQ person to read them and decide if they want to get involved in something. See if they have to show up, have an opinion, or take some sort of action. The saying public comment took place, that really wouldn't do it. Also, I think anything that looks like it's excluding the public, this is a public meeting, which means the meeting is for the public. It looks like it's for all of you, but it's really not. It's for us, and we need to be documented, represented, and have a chance to speak. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Anybody else from the public or the board? Hi, Fred.
Oh, hi. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to point out that I don't think the recordings are a good way to, reference this stuff, especially that, what did we do pre-COVID when we had in-person meetings? I don't think those are video recorded, and we had to rely on the minutes. So I think the minutes, again, are really important, and I agree with the more detail, the better. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Okay, I'm looking for more hands raised.
Okay, I think we can take a vote now. Motion A to approve the GTLNC November 16th, 2021 General Board Minutes. Catherine.
I wasn't present, abstain.
Okay. Arthur, is Arthur on the meeting yet?
I don't see him.
Okay, so I'm gonna mark him as excused. Robin, I'm a yes. Nick? Nick?
Yes.
Wait, before I do anything else, I want to acknowledge that Kevin Dees just arrived.
Yeah, he actually arrived a while ago.
Okay.
Right,
Do you
right
know
after roll call.
approximately when? Okay, I'm just gonna, Kevin Dees.
It was 7:08.
What time? 7:08? Okay, great. Great, thank you. All right. Did Nick? Ren? Are you muted, Ren?
No.
No. Okay, Fred?
Yes.
Great. Matt is excused. Lee? Lee? I can't hear you. I see you, Lee.
You hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, now I
Okay,
can.
affirmative on that.
Great, thank you. Susanna?
Yes.
Thank you. Paige?
I was absent also, so.
Okay, abstain. Tess?
Yes.
Thank you. Kevin? I can't hear
Yes.
you. Yes, great. Sean?
Yes.
And Jake?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we have, oh, and Colby.
That'll be a yes, yes. on that one.
Great. So on yeses, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 2 abstain. So 10, 0, 2. All right.
All right, thank you, Robin.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Didn't Ren vote no?
You're right. You are absolutely, I was just looking at that. No, so it's 10, 1, 2. Thank you, Catherine.
All right, thanks, Robin.
All right.
Again, I'd like to reiterate, please bring me your thoughts and ideas. We don't have as much time as it looks to get stuff done, to be honest with you. With the way the city moves and the way that we can spend our budget, it takes a long time for even something we approve on the board to go through the city and to fund something interesting and helpful for our community. So again, walk around the community. Please bring us ideas. email me, call me anytime you want to, and get those to me. NPGs and any other way we can do it. Last time we talked about, I think at our executive meeting, we brought up lighting. We brought up the horrible murder that happened on January 1st in our neighborhood. Just trying to find ways to during COVID to do something. Now that we're not doing any events, which is just a little extra money to sprinkle in other ways. Anyway, I'm very proud of this board, and it's been a challenging, 6 or 7 months here and there, but I do feel we're coming together, and I really applaud our stakeholders, especially our stakeholders who sat through some long meetings, and of course our board, and I look forward to an even brighter spring. With that, let's go to the open public forum, and please raise your hand if you have something to say. I see Jonathan Gregory.
Hi, thank you very much. I've attended probably as many, if not more, of your meetings in this term than most board members. I did it with a specific reason, and that is to work to make the neighborhood council representative of the stakeholders in the whole area of Greater Toluca Lake. My personal experience and the experience I saw play out with my neighbors in West Toluca Lake is this neighborhood council wasn't serving us. So here I am, and my primary goal is make sure Los Angeles doesn't become Detroit with palm trees. I really am determined that the city get itself back on its feet, and I hope I have your partnership in doing that and not your conflict. When things go wrong, I've heard used as a excuse that it's a new board or your volunteers. And I'd like to tell you that I think it's not a new board anymore. And I don't think you are volunteers anymore. You were volunteers when you chose to get elected. When you got elected, you have fiduciary duties, both to attend and to behave in a certain manner that is according to state and federal law. That's not a volunteer to me. You can call yourself a volunteer, but you have fiduciary duties now. Before I move on, I'd just like to tell Colby, I think it's really hard to run these meetings. And sometimes if I were you, I'd make a mistake. For example, I might say any other comments instead of public comment. If you catch yourself doing that, or if somebody says, well, I didn't know it was a public comment because you just said any other comment, it's okay. I don't mind as long as you just go back and do your best to correct it. I think it's hard to get everything just right. So I appreciate it. And it's not about perfection. It's just about working with each other. Where I would like to go at this point is I would like to understand disclosures having to do with beautification partners before we get too long in this year. Colby has called himself on one occasion an advisor to beautification partners. Another time he called himself a special advisor. Robin said she was a past board member. Rain calls himself a member in his profile. And I checked on, there's no state filing for that organization to have members, neither voting nor non-voting. Susanna Haynes calls herself a board member. The website of Beautification Partners has advisory board members as Rain and Susanna. The board secretary is Robin. I would like to understand any board member who has a duality of interest regarding Beautification Partners. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jonathan. Next up, I see, next one I saw was Michael.
Before we do another public comment, I just want to ask, I see someone named Arthur in the panelists. Arthur, is that?
I promoted, I'm assuming that's our Arthur, Arthur Witchlet. Hold on, I should hold my timer. I promoted, let me try again. Sometimes when I promote panelists, it doesn't actually promote. I hope that's our Arthur. Arthur?
It'll take him a second to rejoin.
Okay, Tess, I see your hands up. This is the public comment section. I don't know if you had something.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted
It's
to.
not time for board members to comment. This is public comment.
I know. So Tess, we talk later?
Yeah, it's
Public
on
comment.
a comment that you made. I'll come
That
back.
I made?
Yes,
Okay, it's public comment. Can we talk another time?
sure.
Thanks. Go lower your hand. I see, go to David Wheatley. Hi, David. Might have disappeared. Okay, go to Michael. Oops.
Hi, this is David Wheatley. Am I a panelist now?
I pushed the wrong button. Hold on. You're gonna have to vote you. Sorry. Hold on. Or just, okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. This is David Wheatley, stakeholder and a student of sorts of neighborhood councils. I've seen community groups, especially people that get elected,
David, yeah, I lost it. David, please call back in. I was promoting you back, pushing you back down to attendee. I lost you. There you are. David?
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to put you back as attendee and something happened. So go ahead. Let's start over.
Okay, thanks. David Wheatley, stakeholder in Toluca Lake. I've noticed that when people run for office, although they might tell us they're doing it for the good of the community, they're actually doing it for the good of themselves. And the good of themselves includes rewarding their friends and tossing everybody else to the curb. So I'm very sensitive to favoritism, self-dealing, which is enriching each other behind the scenes. So the moment there's a quorum, the meeting needs to be called to order. And if anybody's welcoming anybody, that seems like it's really nice, but it's actually a form of vote buying. Somebody says, "Oh, how great to see you. How are things? How was your ski trip?" This kind of stuff is not cool. It needs to be run in a quasi.
Nick, do not interrupt the public. This is the public speaking time.
I'm sorry,
in a quasi judicial function, and people need to restrain themselves and not interrupt other people. I think the public provides a valuable input, often in exceeding what the board members are able to bring to the table themselves. The land use committee needs work, and I'm hoping we can, when we get to that you'll be able to call on us. The rest of it, the fact that I even get interrupted now shows the lack of discipline that exists in this group and how important it is that the chair exert control over the meeting so that the members of the public like me get our chance to speak. Also, if a member of the board wants to speak as a member of the public, they can do so. So we need to be really careful if you're going to try and shut down public opinion in any way through interruption or saying you can't talk. This is a very, very serious violation. So please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next up, I have.
Does that mean, wait, hold on. Does that mean that the board can respond to that right now?
No, Nick, we don't respond at this part. We don't respond.
This is
where was
really
I?
public comment. Public comment, we do not respond to the public comment.
Next up, I saw Michael. Hi, Michael.
Yes. Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. For some of you that don't know me, Michael DiBacco. I own the Red Door and Michael's on Riverside. And I've been a bartender for years at Timmy's first for 6 years, and then Lucy's 51 before I opened Michael's and the Red Door. So I've been around that area for about 22 years. I'm calling in regards to the project, the TOC initiative that was passed about a year and a half ago. I know some of the members here in the council were around then and some weren't. The last and latest thing that's just happened was that it's supposed to be 3 businesses on the bottom, including me. I had a rights for the restaurant to come back in the new building. And without anyone looking, they've decided to put in a Gelson's. So that whole bottom floor of 10063 Riverside Drive is going to be a Gelson's all the way to the corner. Now, on top of that, the landlord slipped when I was talking to him, and some of you may or may not know, but the School of Rock is trying to be, they're trying to do, it's the same owners, a even bigger project behind there. So I want to inform everyone, I've been talking to Kobe, in regards to what's going on. I do know that in Largemount Village and Sherman Oaks, both of the chambers and councils have gotten together and stopped TOC initiatives before their neighborhoods were destroyed. So there is a way to do this. I know Shannon from the chamber is on this now. In regards to a liquor license that they just posted for Gelson's on 4508 Mariota on the side street, there was a certified complaint filed today by Tracy, who is also on this call right now. So there is ways to stop this. As we know, this will absolutely destroy the village of Toluca Lake, which I love, and I know all you people do too. But I think the biggest thing that is needed is everyone absolutely needs to get together. I do have a very strong contact in the senator's office and in the councilman's office. And some of the discussions I've had was I need a letter, and we all need to send letters, however that is constructed, from the chamber and the council stating that they do not want this in their neighborhood. So I just wanted to inform everyone. I didn't know if everyone knows or doesn't know. The property owners who live in Glendale are being very sneaky about this. And so they do kind of slip with me and pass on information to me. So I'm trying to give it to you so you guys can know what is actually going on and formulate some kind of plan to stop this.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah,
You're
we'll
welcome.
discuss this at great length, I'm sure, in the future, in our future plum meetings and board meetings.
Okay.
It's a big change for the community. It really is.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And we're going to move on to Robert Chiavelli. Hey, Bob. Let's see. Can you talk now?
Okay, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, I just have a question. Is Officer Dilbar coming to the meeting? First of all,
Yes, yes.
good evening, everybody. It's good to see familiar and new faces. Is he coming to the meeting?
Yes, I believe he's actually waiting right now on the attendees list.
All right, then I'll save my comments for, this is the reference to the attack that occurred in the middle of Toluca Lake.
Okay, we'll get to him in a few
middle
minutes.
of the day. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bob. Next up, I see Hank.
Yeah.
Hi, Hank.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, I'm new to the area. I've listened to a few of these just to, kind of like get my feet wet and what the goings on is. And I mean, these things are so long, as you guys know. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but it just feels like, some of the people on this call, I feel like it'd be helpful if we all had some perception. I mean, like, no offense to the board, but like you guys don't have like legit hardcore discretionary spending. So anybody who's like, the votes are being bought or this place is going to go to Detroit, it's a little ridiculous. But the one thing that was kind of my bugaboo is I listened a few weeks ago to, I believe it was called the Outreach Committee meeting. And I gotta say, like, that was kind of eye-opener for me. I mean, I don't remember, there was this one guy on it who I went on like to full-blown hysterics. And I just feel like, we need to have a little bit of, decorum. Like this stuff should be in and out, like a machine. I think his name was Nate or Nick. I don't know.
It was definitely Jim Doty.
Nick, please don't.
Oh, that guy. Yes, that guy. Yeah. I mean, no offense, dude, but like, I mean, it was a bit like, I don't know, man. It was a bit like emotional, a little unhinged. I don't know what the thing was, but like, that's not what I'm coming into here to hear what's going on in the community and like what the goings on are. And it felt like there was a lot of weirdness going on. I don't know what the issue is, but I feel like if you guys could have behind the scenes more cohesiveness, then these things will be a little bit faster. We can get through it all and people get what they need and then we can get out. That's it. Thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nick, and welcome to the neighborhood. Appreciate it.
It was Hank, but yeah.
Oh, thank you. Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
Can you all hear me?
We hear you.
Oh, wonderful. First off, it's nice to be a part of this. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the open public forum. If I can touch on a little bit more of what Michael was relaying about Gelson's, is we are on a timeline. We have 2 weeks. essentially really a week and a half from when the permit was filed or posted publicly, which was on December 26th. So I filed today with the Alcohol Commission. We can certainly share the link to the group. It takes literally less than 2 minutes. I was a little surprised at how easy it was and no bureaucracy, but we can certainly give you the person we're dealing with, because not only does this affect his location, which I'm sure and hopefully everybody's gone to Michael's or the Red Door at some point, but it also affects other parts of our community, such as Spin the Bottle, because we're talking about retail of wine. We're talking about on premise where they'll have wine tastings. And, you know, I think we're all about in Toluca Lake, the localized, the neighborhood feeling, but then it also is traffic. So, I mean, for me personally, I walk everywhere, and the more traffic and the more our little unique places like Michael's and Spin the Bottle are impacted, that hurts our community and the uniqueness of our community. So I want to say that to the group, and we're happy to share any of the information, but we're on a timeline, really. We have 2 weeks to fight the alcohol permit or less than. So anything I can provide, my email's within, as I signed up here, happy to provide it. And, you know, hopefully we can keep this community unique. And we just did the December, we changed the holiday thing from night to day to support our local businesses. So I just hope in this case, we all speak up and do that.
Thank you, Tracy. You're welcome to email me at colby.jensen@gtlnc.org, or just give the email out right now verbally if you would like.
Okay, yeah, it's my name is Tracy.
Don't give out a personal email.
Okay.
This is a public meeting that's recorded and put on YouTube. So
I meant to the alcohol.
The website URL.
Website URL. Yeah, for the alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. If I can give it, it's. Hold on 2 seconds. And just for anybody that wants to go view the posting, it is on the side of, I forget what it's at the very end of the building, and it's on the side of the building. So it's the ABC. Let me see. If I'm able to email it, that would probably be easier.
Okay, just email it to me, colby.jensen, so it's COLBY, period, JENSEN @GTLNC.org.
Got it.
And I'll take it from there.
Great. Thanks for letting me speak.
Great. Thanks, Tracy. Bye-bye. And any other members of the public who'd like to speak at this time, please raise your hand. I don't see anything. Tess, you had a quick question.
Yeah. I'd like to provide Tracy and Michael an update when we get to the planning and land use about my outreach to the congressman's office about the Gelsons. I can share it with you then, or if you like Colby, I can share it now.
Let's do it then. We have that's a good place to do it, I think.
All right. But Michael and Tracy, if you stay with us, that would be great. And drop me a line because I'm very interested in those developments. tess.taylor@gtlnc.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised from the public. So we'll move into city neighborhood news and announcements. We have plenty. I like to start with Officer Delbar. I know he's very busy. Very busy. Where are you? I guess I saw you earlier. Wait a moment here. So if you are here, Officer Delbar, please raise your hand. I must have missed you. Okay, guess he had to go up.
Colby, I don't see him.
I don't see him. He was here earlier. Okay.
I'm on, you guys.
He's here.
Oh, good. Oh, okay, great. Wow. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there he is at the top. Okay. And
Back right up.
Curtis, thank you so much for sending the map to me.
Yeah, sorry about the delay. It's just,
No worries. Never a worry.
all right. So I'll jump in right into some stats real quick. And again, these are always year to date. So some of the percentages are a little big because year to date, and we're dealing with numbers like 4 and 7 and 2 and 1. So we're seeing about 100% increase in our aggravated assaults year to date. So that's 4 as of 2022 compared to 2021 as of 2. So again, that's why it's 100%. Burglars are seeing 77% decrease. Grand theft autos are seeing a 20% increase. And burglary from motor vehicles are seeing a 65% decrease. And regular personal theft, we're seeing about a 25% increase. So those are some numbers year to date. And then another incident that happened, which was brought up earlier, I heard, incident on Riverside involving a battery that occurred probably about, what, eight or so days ago. And I did some digging on this battery, and it appears there was a bit of an altercation between two people, which resulted in a battery or assault. And it happened near the Trader Joe's. So I've already spoken to the detective, and they are currently investigating it and looking into it. And we can go from there. It appears that it was just two people that got into an argument at this point. And that's too far.
Did that woman getting punched in the face ever get figured out?
No, I haven't actually followed up on that one with the woman that got punched in the face. I know which one you're referring to. I just haven't followed up with it.
That was one of the most disturbing things I think I've ever heard in this forum. And I really, I'd love to find out what happened with that, because that was, two guys getting in a fight over something stupid on Trader Joe's. I'm glad we have updates on that. But, a random woman just getting punched in the face is so beyond any sort of scope of, anything that should be happening in our neighborhood. And it just, as somebody who's literally fended off, something myself, I'd like to know what happened with that. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen anywhere.
Yeah, no, you're right. It shouldn't happen anywhere, but especially, I think it was in front of Sharky's or something.
Yes.
I mean, it's bananas.
Nolan's, I think it was.
I mean, so when anything like that is going on, that's when things, matter, when we should stand up and do things, when our mental health illness crisis is out spinning out on our streets.
Nick, do you mind if Curtis finishes his report?
Yeah, no, please. Yes. I would love him to finish his report. Yeah, I would. Thank you.
Sure.
So, again, I just wanted to add a little bit about the battery that did occur. I know a lot of people were curious about it and in question about it. Again, it appears that just two people got into a dispute, and it escalated a little too far at this point. Other than that, I am open to other questions. If I have time, Colby, I'll leave this to you.
Okay, yeah, I see a couple hands raised. I don't know. I think Bob, you had a question. I saw your hand go up when Officer Delbar was speaking. Is it related to Officer Delbar?
Yes,
Robert?
can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Curtis, thank you. As always, thank you for joining the meeting. I really appreciate it. But based on your description, we have a very serious disconnect at what happened on the corner of Riverside and Marietta at about 1:30 in the afternoon. According to reports on Nextdoor, there's over 100. An innocent father and son were attacked by three people, beaten into unconsciousness. The father is in the hospital with broken bones and head injuries. The son was knocked unconscious with head injuries. They got away in a white automobile that people have taken pictures of and are showing on Nextdoor. So why is there such a big, you've just, made it as if two people just got into an argument when this seems to be a random attack right in the middle of the day, right in the middle of Riverside.
Well, so it's funny that you mentioned that, because it appears that there are two separate incidents that are occurring. One did occur in front of Trader Joe's, which I have a crime report for. And earlier I was made aware that there was another incident that occurred, but Burbank police is handling it, not LAPD.
Why would Burbank handle it when it happened right outside of, they were in Mrs. Robinson's and they went to the corner to call Uber. And that's when they were set upon.
And that was also on the 11th?
It was about a week ago. There's a citizen alert issued by LAPD. And the people are looking to get some more coverage for this on the other media, especially television, things like that.
So it appears that there are two separate instances that occurred.
We have that citizen's alert shows security video of the three people.
All right.
Young, of course, and well, not of course, but.
So do we have an exact date on that one? Because that would help drastically.
Well, I'd have to go back.
I forwarded Curtis,
ahead,
I
Robin.
forwarded you the screenshots of the three, it's been going around on, I think it's Nextdoor. Is that the one
Yes.
you're talking about? Yeah,
So
And
I got the screenshot on next door from you, Robin.
yeah. Is that
But
the Burbank police handling this particular incident?
I don't remember seeing a date on that one, on that screenshot you gave me.
It was about a week ago, Curtis. So well, we can go back to say the 11th or 10th,
Okay.
probably a weekend.
And do we know the time that occurred? You said they were
I
leaving
read,
tomorrow.
if I recall, we have to check 1:23 in the afternoon.
Oh, in the afternoon. Okay, so it wasn't a nighttime thing either.
No, broad daylight. I'm right in the middle of the village, which is why it's so concerning. It would be concerning at any time, but I mean, this is brazen. People like this are going to do it again and again. And then this comes shortly after the murder, right off Riverside at Sarah Street. And then yet again, I just read that 3 more men attacked somebody in downtown LA. So is this something that's going on with assaults? You mentioned the 100% increase.
No, it's not something that is going on. It's not like a
Okay.
thing, or trend that is going on.
I'd appreciate if you can look into it, Curtis, and give us an update on anything that the police find.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to look into it more often.
Yeah, we have other hands raised. Maybe someone else has something to add to this.
I'll lower my hand. Here we go.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I always forget to do that.
Hi, Michael. I see your hand raised. Maybe you have something else to add to this.
Yeah, the attack that you're talking about, the father son, I actually know them. They come into my place quite often. And it was a couple of months ago that they actually got attacked as they were leaving a bar down the street. And it was 3 guys. That's the 3 guys of Robin. I believe the photos that you sent that they just recently put out. I have spoke with the supervisor at LAPD that handles all the detectives. They did have a little problem with one detective that was in charge retiring and a new one took over. And so they're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but it's definitely on the move a little bit now. But they did cause some damage. The gentleman that got beat up was 64, worked at Disney for 30 something years, had 4 broken ribs, a concussion, swollen eye. The son did get knocked out, but he was okay other than being knocked out. And it was 3 guys, one of them an MMA fighter. So there was a lot of stuff. That was pretty brutal attack. And it was right on Mariota, the side street. Mariota and
was a couple
Riverside.
months ago?
It was probably at least 2 months ago, yes.
So we talked maybe November?
Somewhere before the holidays, yes.
Okay.
So the wife is a big publicist, one of the biggest in the city. So this is why it's starting to come out with those photos. And I believe she's about to blast it all over. She was waiting for the detectives to do something, and they had those problems with the one guy retiring and all that kind of stuff. The other problem, according to the supervising detective, is money. And the detectives have been cut down, and they have so many problems with deaths, murders, and worse crimes. So it's just a matter of what goes first and working its way down.
Can
Is
you
what I
please
was
do me a
told.
favor and
And
email
it
me
is
that,
LAPD.
Can you email me that offline? I'll give you my email when you're ready.
Sure.
It's 38887@lapd.online.
.online. Got it.
Yes, and just email me that offline just for privacy reasons.
Sure, you got it.
Thank you, Mike. We have several other hands raised.
Sure,
Probably
you got it.
I see Joanne. Joanne, is this about, is this a question for Officer Delbar?
Yes, it's a different topic. I want to ask about the little home villages. What's going on with them? Like there's people in the community asking for help, trying to get, some housing help, homeless help at the time. But people are all saying that the little homes are vacant and empty. And I don't know if that, can you clarify that?
The best source to do that would go through the city council and through LASA, because LASA is who helps coordinate with getting people into those homes. LASA is LA
Are they
Housing.
is there like a lot of crime at them? Like, are you seeing activity? Like, are they empty or are they having issues or?
The issue I see a lot of times is a turnover rate because a lot of people don't want to stay there, or don't want to follow the rules that are associated with those homes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, Joanne. I see Fred Berry. Fred, do you have a question for
Oh,
Officer?
hey, really quick for officer. I just wanted to add, my neighbor is friends with the old lady that got punched in the middle of the night. That was one of the instances I believe that Nick brought up. And she says it was from a homeless man on drugs, just random. Just a homeless guy, crazy, punched her, and that was that. That's what I was told. And the other thing I was told from her with the fight with the guys, that they were coming out of Mrs. Robinson's drunk already at 1 PM, had a fight of something else inside the bar, and then it came out to the street and just fought someone else because they were already mad and drunk and fighting inside. So that's what I heard. I'm passing it on. If you want to know who told me, let me know, and you can talk to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands raised for Officer Delbar. Anyone else have a quick question? We have.
No, Jason. Jason.
He's actually here. I think he's here for the. He's the representative for the Board of Supervisors.
Got it.
He has to get on pretty soon. Well, thank you, Officer Delbar. I really appreciate your continued effort here, and it definitely looks like your plate is getting more full. Unfortunately, with it looks like an uptick in violent crime. At least it feels that way.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
This is Lee. I have a comment.
Oh,
I was just
okay, Lee.
wondering, can you hear me?
Yes.
For Officer Delbar, how are we coming on the catalytic converters? Because we had one ripped off here about a week ago. Are they making any effort to try to catch the guy, or?
Yeah, so we do have some efforts and some teams trying to find those. It's not just one person, it's usually a ring of people. And a lot of times it is for resale purposes for that precious metal that is contained in the catalytic converters. These are the ones we see a lot, again, not all the time, but mostly are the Hondas and the Priuses.
Yeah, that's what it was, a Honda that got ripped off, one of those.
We are still looking for them. And again, it's that precious metal, which is pretty expensive and pretty lucrative, I guess, if you're willing to do that.
Okay, because it happened between 5 and 8:30 in the morning, and it happened right in the driveway here. They're very bold.
And let's not forget the guys that'll just buy a bag of, of palladium or of platinum that comes out of these things at some of these stores around here. And that is a real thing. You can definitely do that. And there seems to be very little interest in the people that actually purchase the precious metals and where it comes from. And that might be a way that we might, I don't know, fix that. But I don't know what I'm talking about, Cool.
It does take a minute or so just to steal the catalytic converter. And you can always look online for some deterrent methods to help stop that from happening. But what it does is really just slow it down. It won't stop someone, it'll just slow them down.
I think we have a question from Kelly. Kelly, is this a question for Officer Delbar?
It's not. I'm here for my update. I'm your new school board member. So
Okay, actually,
not a question.
Okay, we have to, we'll put you back in the queue if you don't mind, and we have to go to Jason Maruca from the LA County Supervisors, but please keep your hand raised, and I'll get you after that. Thanks, Kelly. Thank you, Officer Delbar. I really appreciate your time. I know from the board and all of our stakeholders really value your opinion and your protection. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time.
Good evening. Thank you. Next up, we have Jason he is the representative of Catherine Barger at the Board of Supervisors for the County of Los Angeles, who is now representing us. Jason, okay, good. You can speak, I think.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Thank
It's
you for
always
joining us.
par
Really
for the
appreciate it.
course for me that my speaker changes when I need to start speaking. So glad it could work this time. Anyway, it's good to see you all virtually. I know you can't see me, but I know the supervisor is excited to be representing you here in Toluca Lake. My name's Jason Murk. I'm the field deputy that will be covering your area. So I know we have just a couple minutes, so I just wanted to kind of touch on a few important items that the supervisor wants to prioritize. Just as kind of an opening talk. So, the first thing that the supervisor really focuses on is mental health. And there's really two main priorities that she's looking to address in this area, which is increasing bed capacity and providing more care for our vulnerable. Specifically with the bed capacity, our head of Department of Mental Health, Dr. Sharon, says we're about 4,000 beds short within the county. So the supervisor is fighting at the federal level to remove the IMD waiver exclusion, and that would unlock, our funding. We at the county are preparing restorative care villages throughout. And one of them is up at all of you. And I'd like to, we're going to set up a tour for everyone. And I'd love to have anyone on the board who's interested in coming. But, we built 5 buildings with 16 beds so we could comply with federal law. So the need is really big, in terms of reforming that and giving us the resources that we need. From a vulnerable care standpoint, I think everyone sees that there are individuals out there who are really in need of life-saving healthcare. We want to make sure that we have the right kind of legislation to support those individuals. Over 1,000 people died on our streets last year. So it's a huge crisis, and we want to make sure that we don't have those statistics going forward. Next, real quick, homelessness. I think the supervisor shares your concern about the state of homelessness in the county. The county's made a huge investment through Measure H. The supervisor wants to make sure that we're providing the best possible services and making sure that we're making an impact on those experiencing homelessness. The supervisor sponsored a blue ribbon commission on homelessness to really dive into what's working, what's not working, how we can make changes right now, and hopefully make more of an impact on this. And I think I don't think I need to go more into the homelessness issue. I think everyone is aware of it and is also very concerned about our outcomes at this point. The final kind of issue that the supervisor likes to focus on is foster children. In 2000, the supervisor was the board chair, and she was going to make this the focus of her board chair, is making sure that we're caring for those who are in our system, and that, especially for low income and minority families, that we're not letting them slip through the cracks. This is about protecting our most vulnerable, children who are in our system. So, the supervisor's priority are 1, child safety, and then 2, preventing children from ending up in other parts of our system. So like criminal justice, homelessness, healthcare. So we really want to, when those individuals come into the system, is make sure we get a guide path out for them so they can go off and, be productive members of society and, do what the system's supposed to do, the net bringing people back up so they can contribute. So just a couple things from the supervisor. I'll make sure and send over send Colby our contact information for our office. So if you need to reach out to me via email or phone, we have we're going to be moving our field office probably over into the area at some point in the near future. Our office is currently in Chatsworth, which is obviously not in our district anymore. So that change will be coming pretty soon, but I'll make sure you all have our contact information. So just want to say thank you all, and I'm ready to be here and answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Jason. I'm looking for hands raised. I saw Joanne. There's a question from a stakeholder. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, I was just wondering if there's any chatter on how long the mandates are going to continue. Is this permanent, indefinite, or, can you shed any light on that?
It's probably going to be until it's safe. And we don't know when exactly that day is. I don't think there's like
Nick,
a
why don't you, I think this was a question for Jason.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, I thought there was the supervisor, the county supervisor.
Yeah.
Well, there's county mandates as well. I'm asking the county, and I'd like to ask the city as well. It just says they just give mandates, but they don't give you any, idea on what the criteria for them being removed is. And that's what I want to know. What's the criteria? They're quick to put things on, but I want to know what's the criteria for getting them off? Like, what's their guidelines? What are they? What's the chatter? Or is it just that they do it and like everything else in government, it just goes on and on with no one reevaluating or talking about it? So no, I want to ask the county person.
Yeah, our health officer orders stem from what's happening, from the state and then from the local, the declaration of a health emergency. So once that lifts, that's when we're going to see some of these mandates start to lift. I don't have a timeline on exactly when that's going to happen. I think based on what's happening out there right now, I don't see anything changing for the foreseeable future. But I know that the board doesn't seem to have an appetite for any more lockdowns, which have happened. But I think as we move through the pandemic and hopefully there's no more variants, then we'll start to see a number of these things being lifted.
Thank you for answering.
Okay. Thank you, Joanne, for the question. And I see we have other questions. We have a question from David Wheatley. Hi, David.
Hey, Colby. Hi, everybody. Jason, we haven't met, but thank you very much for speaking. I listened in on a webinar today talking about housing, and they didn't give any data at all. They talked about evidence-based and data-driven. They provided no evidence and they provided no data. I'm wondering if you might be able to either next time or this time, whenever you give us a word like homelessness and Measure H and foster children and child safety, I think, which is what most of us would support those programs. How many people are we actually talking about? Not percentages, but how many individuals, and restorative care. I mean, I for one need more detail, especially after I listened to this afternoon where it was like vague city, couldn't get anything out of them. So if you could please do that for next time or now, I for one would appreciate it. Thank you.
Will do.
Thanks, Jason. I'm also interested in foster care. I think that's extremely worthy pursuit, and I'd love to hear how our neighborhood council could somehow support those initiatives in our area. Any other questions for Jason? I'm looking for thoughts, comments. I don't see any. I know, Kelly, you're for something else, so I see your hand raised. Okay, well, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it. I got this beautiful letter from Catherine the other day. It was very welcoming in our mailbox. And I really look forward to working with you, and I know the board and our stakeholders do as well. So thank you so much.
Okay.
For joining us.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Thank you. Next up, I thank you, Kelly, for being so patient.
Of course.
Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead and introduce yourself to the board.
Excellent. Well, good evening, Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. It is a pleasure to join you and meet you all. I hope you all had a restful holiday season and New Year, and that you and your loved ones are in good health. With the recent redistricting changes, I am thrilled to welcome the Toluca Lake community to LA Unified Board District 6. As the current board member for the East San Fernando Valley Board District 6, I now have the honor of representing the LA Unified Schools in Toluca Lake on the Board of Education. This includes Rio Vista Elementary, Toluca Lake Early Education Center and Elementary School, and Carlson Home Hospital. So if you ever have questions on any of those schools or other schools in LA Unified, my office is happy to help you. Before I share some updates on our schools, I wanted to just quickly introduce myself. So I'm Kelly Gonez. I was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley in an immigrant family. I became the first in my family to graduate from college from UC Berkeley. And once I graduated, I came back home to the Valley. Oh, go Bears. I came back home to the Valley to teach. And I spent my entire professional career working in public education, first as a teacher and then as an appointee in the Department of Education under President Obama. And since 2017, I have served on the LA Unified School Board. And in 2020, I was honored to become its current board president, the youngest woman and Latina to ever hold the position. And I represent District 6, which includes schools now in Toluca Lake, and then goes as far east as Sunland Tahunga and as far north as Silmar. During my time in office, it's really been a priority for me to hear directly from our school communities, including our students, families, and educators, to make sure that the decisions of the board really represent the realities of our classrooms. So look forward to engaging you all in those efforts. Now for some updates regarding our LA Unified Schools. So as you may know, last week was the start of our spring semester. And with our region facing record high COVID numbers due to the Omicron variant, the district has taken extensive measures to ensure that our schools continue to be the safest possible learning environments for students. A few weeks ago, in response to the rapid rise in cases, the district announced that all students and staff would need a negative COVID test before they returned to their classrooms on campus. This was a big lift for our district staff and for our families, but so important because it helped us identify many, many positive cases, more than 70,000 positive cases before students returned to classrooms so that our schools could be as safe as possible for the entire school community. And to achieve that effort, we expanded our testing sites, extended their hours, and provided several 100,000 take-home rapid test kits for students to test at home. Moving forward, staff and students are continuing to be required to test weekly, with mobile testing sites visiting all of our schools to do that testing. With 100% of our staff on campus and close to 90% of students 12 and older now vaccinated, universal masking indoors and outdoors, and high quality air filtration, we're really doing everything that we can to mitigate the spread of COVID and really lead as an example for our state and our nation. That being said, if you or a student you know needs help finding a testing center or a vaccination site, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me or my staff. We are always happy to help. And we will send an email after this meeting with all of the links and information that you might need to find this key info that I'm sharing. Next, I wanted to also provide you with an exciting update on our search for a permanent superintendent of schools. Our priority as a board was to conduct a community-driven search process. So as part of our community engagement efforts, we received 30,000 survey responses, held over a dozen community listening sessions, several focus groups with students, parents, and employees. And then we also had street teams visit 120 schools to hear directly from students and parents about what they were looking for in our next leader. After those efforts, the board in mid-December unanimously selected Alberto Carvalho as our next superintendent of schools. Mr. Carvalho currently serves as the superintendent of the Miami-Dade County Public School System, which is the 4th largest school district in the country. He'll be joining us no later than March 1st, and we're really excited to have an experienced educator as superintendent and somebody who has deep expertise in managing a large urban district with demonstrated success in increasing student achievement. Finally, 2 opportunities I wanted to share for students and families to engage in our office's work. First, excited to launch the next versions of our Board District 6 Parent and Student Advisory Cabinets. This year, they will be focusing on identifying ways to support our English learners, and the sessions will be conducted in Spanish with English interpretation available. You can find the application by visiting bit.ly/BD6cabinet, and the application window goes until the end of January. We would certainly appreciate you helping us to spread the word, to encourage any English learner or newcomer families to apply, even if a student has already reclassified, their parent is still eligible to join. And then we are also launching our 4th annual art contest, which is being held virtually this year. The art contest is open to all preschool through 12th grade students in Board District 6, and this year's theme is gratitude and appreciation. So students, teachers, and families have until January 31st to submit student artwork via bit.ly/BD6ArtContest2022. You can also find more info at that link. We hope that you help us spread the word with any students who are interested in creating some original art and earning some cool prizes. As I said, we will follow up via email tomorrow with all the links and flyers we've mentioned. That being said, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really looking forward to working with you in partnership on behalf of the students and families of Toluca Lake. And don't hesitate to reach out if we can help support you with anything. That being said, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, you sound so busy. That's wonderful. I have a quick question. I just want to you can put a reminder in your phone somewhere. I've been speaking on and off with Tammy Fernandez, the principal over at Rio Vista Elementary. And they had submitted an MPG a few months ago. I spoke with her on the phone last week. And if you can just, if I don't hear from her, just sort of maybe just send her a reminder email or a phone call the next week or two about that MPG. She'll remember, she shouldn't remember who I am. I know she's very busy as well. And I don't want her to get this lost in the shuffle. With that said,
Absolutely. We can follow up on that.
Yeah, thank you. I see a hand raised. I see Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Do you have a question for Kelly? I see your hand raised. Let's see.
Sorry. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Hi, Joanne. We hear you.
Hi. I also have questions too about the, I couldn't hear, it went so fast. What percentage of students are vaccinated? And then you also mentioned something else about testing before going back and an amount of positive cases. And can you just explain all that again real quick?
Sure. I'm happy
Thank
to.
you.
I'm so sorry if I spoke too fast. I'm energetic to meet you all. But
That's good.
So in terms of student vaccination rates, so approximately 88% of students 12 and older are vaccinated against COVID-19. I think I said nearly 90, but the exact figure is 88% based on the latest data I found. And 100% of staff at school sites are fully vaccinated. We do have some employees who have medical accommodations, et cetera, and they work remotely. But 100% of the staff who are physically at schools are vaccinated against COVID-19. And then in terms of the baseline testing data, which is what I was referring to, we identified approximately 78,000 positive cases through our baseline testing efforts. So these were students and staff who were tested the week before they returned to schools. The majority of those cases were among students, since they're a larger student population. They're a larger population than our staff. But all told, 78,000 positive.
So wait, okay, this is what's like a lot shocking to me. And that's why I had to ask, because like I'm blown away a little bit by it. So you're saying there's an 88% vaccination rate of students, 100% with teachers, and you had over 73,000 or 78,000 positive cases? Like,
yes, we know that breakthrough cases have been a reality with this variant, but also, we serve students who are not yet eligible for the vaccine. We serve kids as young as 2.5 in LA Unified. And so these cases are from our preschool all the way to our 12th grade students.
Can we have a number? Can we get a number of how many like how many? Because I'm sorry, I'm shocked right now that, because we keep saying get the vaccine, help, whatever. And you're telling me there's 78,000 breakthrough case. I mean, it's an alarming number. I mean, how many of it are the kids under 12, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just shocked right now.
We can check and see if we have the data in that format. I think what I have seen is just student cases and staff cases. I don't know that we necessarily have it by vaccination status, but happy to see what we have and share that with you all in the follow-up email.
Yeah, I would really like to know that. Thank you. Because I'm sorry, you just kind of blew me away with that. Thank you, though.
Yeah, it is a large number.
Mm-hmm.
I see Jonathan Gregory has a question. Oops. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, thank you for coming. Academics really matters to me, and not for this meeting, but in some future meeting, can you plan to come and talk to us about those graduating students from the greater Toluca Lake area who I believe would all be going to North Hollywood High? Would you talk to us about the state comparatives and the national comparatives on performance on how that school is doing? In other words, how prepared North Hollywood High or any high school that serves our community for graduating seniors, how well they're doing in turning out those students into the world. Thank you very much.
Sure thing, we can do that. Thank you.
And, okay, I'm looking, Tess, you had your hand raised earlier. Are you satisfied? Okay, here we are.
I'm satisfied. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, great. And, well, thank you, Kelly. I don't see any other questions as is, but yes, please get us that information, and we'd love to have you back. You know, education is paramount, and I appreciate your help with Rio Vista also. I think they're just very busy, and I can totally understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely follow up with Principal Fernandez, perhaps next week when the back to school rush is calmed down a little. And yes, looking forward to being back. And Michael Menjivar is our Deputy Director of Community Engagement. He will support our schools in Toluca Lake, so he'll be your main contact from my office.
Okay, we look forward to supporting you also. Thank you so much. Next up, I'm looking, I see some familiar names in the attendees list for our city news and announcements representatives, but please raise your hand if you would like to speak. If not, we'll move forward, but I'll give you another few seconds to raise your hand. I saw Brenda earlier. Okay, Brandon. Oh yes, of course.
And I also see Carrie Negri.
Yeah, she didn't raise her hand. I don't know if she wants to make sure she wants to speak, but I can help.
You have somebody higher up on the food chain to go before me? I can wait.
No, Brandon.
Oh, no, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
We hear you. Thank you. Yes, I hear. Gotcha.
I'm Brandon Pender. I'm one of your budget advocates for Region 4 of the Southeast Valley. This is your Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. Let me give you the obligatory contact information and a real quick thing of what the budget advocates do, and then I want to get into a report. You can look us up at budgetadvocates.org. That's budgetadvocates with an S.org, O-R-G. And there you can go through our website and see some of our news, some of the reports that we do. There are critical analysis of the LA budget. Watch the budget advocates in action and some Zoom calls with interviews with some of the city officials, including the mayor. So all these things are available at that website. I'd like to remind you that budget day for this year will be Saturday, August 21st at 9:30 a.m. It will be a Zoom virtual budget day, unfortunately, but still, we're still hanging in there. We're still doing things. We just previously had our last budget meeting on Saturday on the 15th. So as you know, the budget advocates are an elected, all volunteer, independent advisory body charged with making a constructive recommendation on the city's budget to the mayor and the city council, inspiring city departments to improve their operations. Their budget advocates are also stakeholders. We solicit stakeholders input to the city services. So we ask you, what do you think? What if there's a problem? What do you think needs to be improved? What needs to be pulled back? To inform Angelenos about the city's fiscal management and to report on the city's progress. Real quick, what our mission statement to engage the neighborhood councils and the stakeholders on the city financial condition, to encourage the city to allocate its resources to improve services and quality of life for all Angelenos. The advocates of the advocates for Los Angeles advocate for Los Angeles potential as one of the world's greatest cities, and to bring transparency to the city's budget. I'd like to now let you know what's happening. I sent out a written report, which everybody should have. That's our written report from our last two meetings there. Since I'm limited on time, I'm sure everybody has it, so you can peruse that at your leisure, but it goes into a lot of different other things that we do, that we've been doing on that. One of the things we're going to be doing is try to put together a database for the neighborhood councils to send us their community impact statements, so we can catalog all this to better serve you with some of the city services. Now, also, I want to remind you that we also have another meeting that's coming up very close, which is going to be January the 29th. We're going to be having a meeting with the Dunn general manager, Raquel Beltran. She's going to be, we're going to do I guess, more of a town hall. That's our nearest town hall. That's going to be January 29th at 10 o'clock in the morning. I think the 29th should be on a weekend. It's going to be in the morning. So, but you can go to Eventbrite to register, to sign up, to get a link to this town hall meeting. So you simply go to Eventbrite and you go to Town Hall on Dunn's proposal. This is really about the budget that Dunn is actually coming to the city with. And we're going to be asking a lot of questions, a lot of comprehensive questions about what's going on with the department. The department's going through a lot of changes right now. And we, as budget advocates, are having some problems with dealing with Dunn, but it's just like, she's she's on doing the job for, I guess, a little over a year or so, and we're just getting to know each other. And so we're really going to try to iron out some of our concerns and things that should concern the neighborhood councils, because that's what they're going to do is going to affect in the future the neighborhood councils, how you're budgeted and how you spend your money and things like that. And also there's a lot of problems with people who are on the board who have not been given links to go to take their tests for their financial and for their conflict of interest type of training to be on the board. So that's causing some problems in some areas where you can't even vote, or people have not been certified to be official members of the board. So these are the things we're going to try to see if this can be cut down within time to do so. So this is very, very important. I sent something out to Lee. Something bounced back. I don't know if you got the second. I sent 2 emails out, Lee. So you should check and see. I'll try to send it again, but it did bounce back. You're the only person that did, but I think you got the first one, but I think the second one maybe didn't get delivered. You should let me know. If anybody needs to get in contact with me, you can email me at brandonpender@yahoo.com. That's spelled BRAN, D as in David, O-N, Pender, P-E-N, that's P as in Paul, E-N, P-E-N-D-E-R @yahoo.com, just like it sounds. And if you can put it in the subject matter, neighborhood council budget advocates or neighborhood council business, that way I'll pick it up right away and get back with you. We're trying to fill some vacancies in some different regions in the budget advocates. So hopefully there'll be some elections here pretty soon. And to do that, I've enjoyed being your budget advocate for some time, and also was your budget rep, even when I wasn't a budget advocate. And so I've always considered Toluca Lake, along with maybe Studio City, as my 2 home neighborhood councils. Hopefully when we come back to personal meetings, I hope to see you guys again. A lot of you people are new that I'm just getting to know are on the board, but except for Lee. Lee's been around forever. But I hope to meet everybody in person, and hopefully when this pandemic thing is over, we can see each other eye to eye and face to face, when we can get to know each other a little bit better. But I've enjoyed it, and hopefully we can continue in a relationship. And my counterpart over there is Arthur, who's the second budget representative. And so that's all I have to tell you right now. I hope I didn't go over my time.
Thank you, Brandon. And I've enjoyed reading your report, which I received this afternoon. And quick, I mean, you can't really answer this, but it's just concerning. I guess see here in December, the city concluded that the city's fiscal challenges are manageable, even though it continues to overspend. The budget advocates continue to be concerned, especially due to the new impact on revenue and expenses posed by the Omicron variant. I mean, I keep hearing that there'll be more variants down the road. Do you think? I mean, there's a lot of other problems to worry about, but do you see our budgets for neighborhood councils being impacted by this pandemic?
Well, what's going to be happening is that the city's going to reassess a lot of things. As you know, we're going to be getting an election for a new mayor, and that's going to be somewhat of a game changer, because we're going to have a new person in, and they're going to look and assess what Dunn has been doing, and see if they might want to pull back. We're going to try to keep everything the way it is. I mean, in a perfect world, I'd like to go back to where each neighborhood council got like $50,000 per neighborhood council. But they might start prioritizing because now we're starting to not, right now what the city has been doing, the city has been getting a lot of federal dollars in. And so a lot of things have been kept up, but we still have somewhat of a deficit, not as much as we used to have, but because of the Omicron, because a lot of people are leaving the city, the jobs, the police departments, the fire departments, they're retiring. We have a lot of unrealized and unfunded pension liability that's going to increase. It's hard to say. We're trying to scope this and track this and see if this is going to have a more of a deficit effect than anything else. But there's and we still do have somewhat of a fund, I guess, a rainy day fund, as you want to call it, with the city. Just they're not spending it in the direction that most people would like them to do so. So this will be something that we're going to look at, and also we're finishing up our white paper. That town hall meeting actually really is what we're trying to do, is finishing up that version of the white paper. Also, we have a white paper meeting with the LAPD union. We've already met with the LAPD, so we're trying to get the union and LAPD to see what the situation is there, to see if we have enough police officers or too many police officers. I don't think that's possible. But and how it's going to affect the budget, because as you know, that comes under public safety, and public safety takes up about 90% of the entire budget of the city.
Wow. Thank you, Brandon. I have a question here from board member Tess Taylor.
Hi, Colby, you actually hit on something that I think is very important. Hello, Brandon. I read your report today. And Colby, you started to ask this question, but I noticed that in the upcoming budget discussion, Raquel Beltran is planning to ask for a larger or an increased budget for the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Do you know how much she's asking for, what it's for, and correspondingly, our neighborhood council budget's going to be decreased? Because I certainly hope not. Thank you.
Yeah, they're asking for, she's asking for more. That's what we're trying to do, because a lot of the stuff that they're trying to do is, for instance, we don't know it. We're asking for more money for the elections, because we only have I think that the money that was spent on the elections that Dunn had they spent more money on the neighborhood councils that had the very low turnout, historically low turnout with the elections. And so therefore they spend all that money there and not on the rest of it. We're trying to get them to spread it out. We're trying to get $1 million for elections, so the neighborhood councils can have more of an outreach with their elections, regardless of whether one neighborhood council has got a lower turnout than the other one. But that's what they had historically did for the last 2 or 3 elections, that they did that. They put $2 million towards the neighborhood councils that didn't have that much. But they're trying to get more, mostly for their operation, not so much for the neighborhood councils. That's one of the things we're going to address with her. To do, because I mean you want more money, but you're restricting the neighborhood councils from utilizing their funds or getting more funds to operate. And mostly, and everybody, if you don't know this or not, the money that's always been allocated by charter is for the neighborhood councils or is for outreach. You can split it to different things, but mostly it's for outreach. So when you give away perfect grants and stuff like that, you have to remember that. Is this going to, not only are you doing a good thing for the community, but is it going to raise the profile of the neighborhood council, that the neighborhood council is the one that did it, and you have to do some signage and promotion and stuff and things that say, okay, this is good outreach for us. We're getting out there. Everybody knows we did this. You can't be shy with that, because that's what the money originally was given to the neighborhood councils, was for outreach. And then it just matriculated into, specific purpose grants and things like that, which can be used. You can roll that into or market that into outreach.
Exactly. I have a question from Jonathan Gregory, stakeholder. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, thank you. I'll talk quickly because the meeting's getting long. Mr. Pender, I took some time and ran some numbers, and at minimum, the number of votes that was received in the last elections for neighborhood council candidates was $23 per vote. and it ran all the way up to 77, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have my numbers in front of me right now because I didn't know we were going to talk about this. But I remember that Dunn was asked to provide an audit of $496,000 just in promotion. That wasn't the cost of the election. And this is happening again. There's another application for $496,000 just for promotion. God knows how much this election costs. But you know, there's a lot of things that have to happen in LA. That's a lot of money being spent. If you could tell me how is this working where you've got a promotional expenses and election expenses? Is that right? And please understand, I don't want the meeting to go really long. Thank you.
Well, I mean, it's really up to the individual neighborhood councils to, when they put together their election committees and stuff, to know exactly how to allocate the funds for the election. I mean, the mechanical aspects of the election is one thing, that's a certainty, but then you have the promotional aspect and the advertising for it. And so, I mean, it's really a matter of and also you don't have that many. I mean, we have a city of well over 8 million people or whatever it is, and we really, I mean, we have only maybe I don't know, maybe under 30,000, if not less than that, of people that actually vote on with the neighborhood councils, all of the 100 neighborhood councils around the city. The turnout is very low, and something has to be done both on the Dunn side and the individual neighborhood councils to get that word out, to justify the money that's being spent on that. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're also dealing with that too. That's one of the things we're going to be talking with on the town hall with Raquel with.
Well, thanks, Ben. Actually, that's a great segue into our next item on the agenda, which is voting on an MPG for PALS. I don't see any other questions, and we need to move on to other business. But thank you so much.
I believe Carrie Negri.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant for Brandon though. Carrie didn't have a question about the HOA. Thank you, Brandon. Are you still there? Okay. I guess I lost him. I don't know what happened.
Sorry, I'd removed permission to talk. I thought you were done.
Okay. All right. Well, good night, Brandon. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. I appreciate all your information. Hi, Carrie. Are you there?
Hi, Colby. Hi, everyone on the board. Thank you for all you do. Your meetings are more entertaining than reality TV, but without the commercial breaks for you guys, I guess.
Thank you. I think. I don't know if I'm supposed to thank you for that or not. Go ahead.
Our last event was the Toluca Lake Cookie Trot, which was an amazing community event. Everybody came out. There was tremendous support, and it raised a lot of money for our local community PD. And so I'm very proud of that event, and I appreciate all of you who participated in it. It was just a wonderful day. So looking forward to next year as well. Our nominations are due this month, January, for the Toluca Lake Board. And if you know someone to nominate, please let me know. You have to own and live within our boundaries in order to run for our board. But all this information is on our website. And our elections are in March. And that's about it for us right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it. And I don't see, oh, David, yes. Hi, David.
Thank you. Hey, Colby. In keeping with my earlier comment, a lot of money. Could you tell us, convert those words into actual dollars? How much was actually raised and where did it go? Also, a little bit more about your organization. How many members do you have? And also, Cahuenga Bloomfield, if any of you have any sort of affiliation, economic or otherwise, with them. Thanks.
Is this a question for Carrie, I'm assuming?
Right.
I'm sorry, what is your specific question for me?
Oh boy. Can you define what a lot of money is, please? That would be the easy one.
Oh, so
second one is how many members do you have? And the third one is, do any of you have any affiliation with the project at Cahuenga Bloomfield?
I don't know what our membership has to do with that, but I can tell you that we did raise 13,000 approximately for our local PD.
Okay, are you up to answering the second question? I know you don't want to go back and forth. If that's your answer, if there's no answer, I guess that's your answer.
No, that is my answer. And I don't want to waste everyone's time.
Okay, I think that's her answer. Any other questions or comments for Carrie while she's here? I don't see any, so we're going to have to move on. I believe that concludes our city and neighborhood news and announcements, and it's time to move on to our committee reports. The first one is executive committee. I'm going to start up, and hi, Nick, are you here? Nick Baker? Okay. All right.
Wait, did Nick Baker leave the meeting? Because I'm not aware of that. Does anybody know what time he left the meeting?
I did not notice what time.
Let me
but I
get myself
think
on
it
mute.
was pretty recent.
I'm gonna give him a quick call. I'm gonna put him on myself on mute. Catherine,
Okay,
take over for a
and
second.
I'll start the discussion on exec. Nick Baker left the meeting. What time is it right now? 8:34. Okay, just need to make note of that.
It also looks like we've lost Jake Tiddick.
Yes, Jake had to leave. He made Colby aware that he was going to be leaving. So
Okay.
I think he left around 8 something. Yeah, I have it in my notes, but we knew he was going to be leaving. Yeah, but that's good for our voting, so we know that. Okay.
Oh, Nick is coming right on, and so we'll just move to discussion with Nick on exec. Give him a second to chime back in.
All right.
Let's see, because I want to get this done, move forward.
There he is. Okay, so he just rejoined at 8:35. Great.
Okay, great. He said he just left for a moment.
Great. Thank
All
you.
right, I had an emergency with my kid.
No worries. No worries.
Okay. And Nick, we're going to discuss exec committee. Do you want anything to say about exec committee or your membership thereof?
I mean, I feel like everything's just fine. I just want to sit back for a minute and just, relax. And, I am where I am. So I think I'm going to stay where I am. And I was elected here. So I'm just going to, I got to have some conversations with some people in the local government. And, I'm very excited about the prospects for the future.
Okay. So just to confirm, you're going to stay on the executive committee.
As of right now, yeah. I mean, I can surely change my mind tomorrow if I wanted to, but as of this minute, yeah, I'm feeling like
Okay.
I like what.
Okay, that's change. Okay.
And I have a question about that. As assistant secretary, you had some responsibility each month, which you have not fulfilled. And
Yeah,
I
I would have to say, Robin, I've asked for multiple times in multiple meetings for budgetary figures that I'm supposed to be overseeing. If I have a fiduciary responsibility to the stakeholders of this area, and I'm overseeing a budget of quote unquote $15,000 a year, and I'm not provided those numbers.
Is this, wait,
Nick, that budget, that is
I'm sorry.
entirely publicly available information.
Yeah, I understand that. But how come when I try to do anything and actually try to get things done, nothing gets done ever? And my issue has always been that, like, if I try to find out why TS2IS, why they can't fix anything, or why anything ever never gets done, because it never gets done. And it's like, I don't understand.
Hey, wait, I'm going to stop you there for a second.
Listen, let me just say something.
Because this
You
is
just want
about
me to do a
outreach
bunch of stuff.
and not
Yeah, you're right. It is about, but it's not
Okay,
just
when
about
we get to
because
outreach?
it's all intertwined, and it all
No,
has the
no, assistant secretary.
Well, I don't know. What do you want me to do? What am I not doing enough of? Because last time I checked, I did an awful lot around here, Robin, and there are people that don't even bother to show up to meetings. So
Nick,
when we have people,
Nick, I'm going to have to stop you there.
Okay.
We are in the executive committee. The role and the committee that we are discussing at the moment is executive,
Right.
not
Okay,
outreach.
well, let me put it to you this way. You put down the list of stuff that you need me to do, and I'll start doing it. Okay.
And I have.
And I
multiple
apologize for not doing it in the past. I will get it done. I have been a little busy around here dealing with some personal issues as well. So if I could just have a little bit of latitude, okay, I would really appreciate it. Please provide me a list of things that you don't think I'm doing. I will start doing them. What I need to do is take care of myself and my family first, which I am currently doing. Okay. I don't need any of this. I don't. No. Stop. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be.
I'm sorry. I had to mute Nick. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Nick. I have to keep structure for now. This is about executive committee. As I know, you want to stay on executive committee, and we'll move forward with you on executive committee as a assistant secretary.
Well, my question is, it's been 6 months. He has not done what his responsibility was for assistant secretary. I'm fine with him having personal issues and not being able to do it. I have no problem with that. I just need to know, is this something that's going to go forward? Because the responsibility is there. And there could be somebody who could assist the secretary, me, if you really do need time to step back. We're fine with that.
Listen, let me tell you something, Robin. I want to sit back and I want to have a conversation with a couple more people before I do this. That's what I would like to do. I would like a little bit of time to consider what I'm doing, and I would like to talk to some people before I do it. That's all I would like.
Can I get a deadline on that?
Sure, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So 2 weeks from tonight, you will let us know whether you're
tonight. You will have either my absolute dedication to the position or my resignation from it.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you, Nick.
Got to move on. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. And I appreciate that very much, Robin. I really
Sure.
do. And I
No
understand
worries.
you're upset that I'm not doing a
Well,
lot.
I'm not upset. I just want to know.
Nick and I, we had conversations before, and I just wanted to confirm what's happening moving forward. Moving forward to motion B, which is the NPG for the East Valley Pals. And I have invited Ross Pendergraft from Pals, and he's been patiently waiting about an hour and a half. Let me bring him up to discuss. Actually, or Catherine, Robin, should we read the motion, or we will first hear from?
No, we are going
need to
read the motion. Yeah, read the motion, and
so
then
I'll go ahead and read the motion. Motion B, to approve up to $5,000 to fund the North Hollywood Jeopardy program for youth through the East Valley Pals Neighborhood Purpose Grant. Do I have a first? Ren. Thank you, Ren. Do I have a second?
Arthur.
Arthur. Thank you, Arthur. Okay, let's go forward with discussion.
Yes, let me bring on. I hope he's still here. I'm looking for him.
I don't see him in the participants list.
I'm gonna mute myself, and I'm gonna call him right now on the phone.
Are you talking about me?
No,
I'm back.
no,
My internet
not talking
dropped.
about
I'm
you.
sorry.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Ross. He's been waiting patiently for about this MPG.
Catherine, should we start a discussion regarding this MPG? If there are any questions, wait. No, he's never mind. He's getting off.
He's on.
Okay, wonderful.
Hello, Ross.
Okay, can you hear me?
Ross, thank you so much for your patience, and please introduce yourself to the board and our stakeholders. I appreciate that.
So my name is Ross Pendergraft. I'm the president of PALS, Police Activity League Supporters, representing the North Hollywood station, because there are other PALS, obviously, throughout LAPD.
Yes, and And Ross presented us with an application for neighborhood purpose grants. I hope the board has had a chance to look at this. They're asking for $5,000. Can you tell us, Ross, tell us a little about the Jeopardy program?
So the Jeopardy program is, in my opinion, one of the special programs that we have. It's special because this is an opportunity that we have that essentially makes sure that youth, the young kids that perhaps would wind up in a gang if we didn't have this program. So we're able to take these kids. Usually we get contacted by the parents, just basically throwing their hands up in the air saying, look, if you don't help me out, I don't know what's going to happen to my child. And then we bring them into the Jeopardy program. And I'll just tell you, the Jeopardy program is a huge success. We're able to take these kids, turn them around, turn them into model citizens, and a lot of them even go on to becoming cadets. The young lady that was at the turkey trot, she was a Jeopardy kid, and she turned herself around. She actually spoke at the turkey trot, did a tremendous job, and now is going to become a cadet. So that's just a great example of what our Jeopardy program does. And really, it's just about mentoring these kids, provide them tutoring where it's needed. We do sports activities, field trips. We did a trip, believe it or not, to Universal Horror Nights. You would think, well, why would you do something like that? It's just like way too much fun. Well, believe it or not, these kids, if it wasn't for us, they would never, ever get to go to Universal City. And because of us, because of our Jeopardy program, we got to take these kids to Universal City. We did it using the Horror Nights as the thing, but we also take them to museums where they get, learn about, the arts and etc. So it's just a great program, and I don't think we can ever invest too much money in this program, because by investing in this program, we're investing in our youth, and we're making sure that these kids don't get affiliated with gangs, which when they do get affiliated with gangs, as you know, then we're talking about why is the crime rate so high. So I can go on talking forever, but
no, that's great. I think it really addresses crime at the root, and I think that's you're doing a wonderful thing. It sounds like it's wonderful. We're going to have a few questions. Yes, hi, Robin.
Hi. So I just went to the PALS luncheon where they honor many of the police officers and also the PALS program and a lot of these youth. And I have to say, I was so incredibly touched and inspired by what this program has done for some of these kids. And they stood there with such pride on their faces to be recognized in front of this very large group of adults and families that were there to support them. So I highly encourage this program. I'm not sure what we would allow money-wise, but I certainly would support this 100%. It's a wonderful, wonderful program.
Thank you, Robin.
I see Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Yeah, I'm just curious about what the overall program costs annually, and like what % of the usual funding for the program this $5,000 would be.
Well, typically, I would say there's three main costs that goes into what PALS does. So we not only support the Jeopardy kids, but we also support the cadets. If you want to think of it this way, cadets are like the Explorer Scouts. A lot of these cadets also go on to become enroll into the academy and become officers. And then we also support the officers. But what we typically do is when we get money like this, we earmark the money so that the money is earmarked strictly for the Jeopardy kids, so that we're not taking $5,000 if we were to get $5,000, and we're not taking that money and spending it on buying police officers equipment that they need. So we make sure that this money goes directly towards the kids. Exactly what that would be for, all I can really do is, it just depends on what's going on. Like right now with COVID, It's like, who knows what we get to do this month. I mean, right now, we're not even allowed to meet with the kids for probably a couple more weeks because of COVID. So it probably won't be for a couple more weeks when we bring the kids back in. And if you didn't know, through City Council Paul Krikorian, we were given essentially the community room at Whitsett Park. And if anyone was aware, that's where we did our Winter Wonderland, December 18th last month, which was a huge, huge success. I know Krikorian says we're going to double it next year. So look forward to that next year. I think we even have a date set up for next year. So, things like that, those are type of things that we'll spend money on for the kids. And it's just, because we have the community room now, it's basically enabling us to actually bring in more kids. Because if you didn't know, we were having all the kids meet in the trailer behind the LAPD station. It's just not, it's not easy to access because they got to be, chauffeured in, they have to be escorted in. Whereas the community room on Whitsett, there the parents can just drop the kids off right in front of the community room. They can see their kids right there. Not to mention some kids can just get there on their own. So anyway, I'm just telling you, we will definitely find things to spend money for those kids that are going to be, impactful and meaningful.
I see.
Do you have any like historical data of, what an average year for the program costs?
Well, I can tell you last year we didn't spend that much because of COVID. It's, I do have a report laying around somewhere that our CPA did, and it probably does break that down. I'm not sure. Let me
Does the cost go up or down every year depending on how many youth are joined, or does it fluctuate?
Well, we really envision the cost going up because we envision we already, well, we did have a lot more kids in the program, and then of course now we're kind of on a we're not allowed to see any of the kids right at the moment, but that'll probably end in hopefully a couple more weeks. I just I don't know that I have something that actually nails it down, telling you strictly what we spent on each item.
Okay, well, why don't we move on for now then?
Okay, I saw Tess had her hand raised next. Hi, Tess.
Hi, thank you, Colby. Thank you, Mr. Pendergraft. So first of all, I'm a big fan of PALS. I've personally donated in the past. I would, however, like to see the application. I don't think that was included with the materials that were on the website or that were forwarded to us. Is there an application, Robin, that we can? Okay, fabulous. I would like to see that. And I think
Tess, it was with the documents. It was with the documents on the website.
It was on the website. I saw it.
Okay,
it's all there.
Okay, I did not see it. I apologize, but I went through the materials that you gave me, so I will look more carefully. But it was not emailed to me. But in any case, I do support the PALS, and but I think Catherine asks an important question, which is how is this money broken down? Would we be able to, for example, sponsor one kid or more than one kid? Couple things I want to roll into this. We mentioned this, Colby, at the executive committee meeting last week. I think it would be good if we have a deadline for the NPGs, the filing deadline for all of them, and how much money are we planning?
We do have a deadline, March 31st. It was put in the newsletter this last week. Yes,
okay.
We do. And we talked about that.
Yes, exactly. Well, I just wanted that's one thing that I wanted mentioned at the top of the meeting. And how much money are we planning to give away? Because as a percentage of the whole, I think that number becomes significant, how much we're going to give to, each NPG and how many. And last but not least, and I know this is a lot I know this is a lot of questions, Mr. Pendergraft, but I assume that you are familiar with or possibly even in touch with Homeboy Industries and Father Gregory Boyle and all that he does for gang reintegration. If not, I think it would be great. So I'll be happy to repeat those questions. I'm sorry, that's a lot.
There was a question about the homeboys. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So let's start with I think the most important thing. Could we sponsor one or two or three individuals, specific individuals with this NPG grant? Is that possible, or does it have to go into some pooled fund?
Well, I would have to say I've never seen it done that way. It's usually really the money goes towards all the Jeopardy kids, not just one individual.
Yes, I will flag that as an NPG, we cannot sponsor a specific individual. We could fund enough for a specific number of individuals, but we would not be permitted to sponsor an individual.
Is there an authority on that, Catherine? Does that come
Yes,
from?
the NPG application packet that you can download from the LA City Clerk's website explains what NPGs are for. They are to benefit the community. And if
Okay.
you are sponsoring a specific individual, it is not a greater community benefit.
Got it. Thank you. So, all right, well, that answers that question. Then are you at all in touch with Homeboy Industries?
No.
Okay. Something worth checking out, but thank you. And I guess that answers my questions.
Thanks, Tess. I see Susanna Hayes.
Yeah, I would say I'm all for supporting this. And I would also say, I don't think this, as Catherine said, it cannot be done for one single person. I think Pendergraft is also explaining that now they have a new facility. They can expand the program to many more kids, which will benefit all of us, hopefully, in terms of not developing gangs, and also that whole system they have with the Jeopardy program moving into cadets. I organized the Turkey Trot years ago, and we had great use of the cadets managing the run. So I can only say, I think this is great that we support this. And yes, it is 5,000, but if we don't spend the money, they waste it and they go back to the city. So I'm all for it. Thank you.
You did mention you were talking about being able to support one Jeopardy. I can tell you at the annual lunch, matter of fact, Robin, you might remember.
Yes.
At the annual lunch, we get $1,000 scholarship from the Gelb Foundation, and that goes to one of the cadets. And then Powell's does the $500 scholarship for a Jeopardy kid, and that comes directly from Powell's. So if you're thinking about, you're indicating, can we support one individual? Well, in a way, we do that already by giving a $500 scholarship to one of the cadet or one of the Jeopardy kids every year.
Thank you, Russ. Robin, I see you have a.
No, but go to Joanne first, and then I'll.
Okay. Hi, Joanne.
Hi again. Hi, Ross. You do amazing work, and I always appreciate you. I just want to bring a reminder that with these programs, not only do they help the youth, stay out of gangs and hopefully get into cadets, but they keep with these kids and they do their best to keep them to go to college. You would think most of the cadets grow up and become police officers. That's what LAPD would want. But they actually gear these kids to go to college and help them get into college. So by a mere $5,000 investment, you are helping our youth in our community that maybe would never, ever have a pathway to college, have the support that they need to get there. And they're going to grow up to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, neighborhood council people. They're going to be great police officers, whatever, police chiefs, anything. So you're an investment that seems so huge right now is going to help a bunch of kids eventually be on track, not only to stay off crime, that's one element of it, but be on track to get to college. So thank you. I just want to put my 2 cents in. And thank you, Ross, for all you do.
Yes, and I, I just want to reiterate this program, I've been to this luncheon multiple times. I am so inspired to not only donate money, but to support this organization. And, we talk about how we don't have enough police officers to help with the crime in the area. I mean, this is the greatest support system to youth that might get lost in the system. They could end up, dying or, just not even benefiting the society. And this program is so helpful and beneficial to these children that may never, ever have this opportunity. So I implore you to, if nothing else, next year, go to the PALS Luncheon, because it is so uplifting and wonderful. So
I see Jonathan Gregory with his hand up. Hi, Jonathan, do you have a question for Russ?
To the board. I thank this man for coming. It sounds like you're doing good work, worthy work. To the board, I ask you to always screen these things, so I'm assuming someone looked at the form and they noticed that the money's not needed until May 31. That should be spoken out loud. So you have some time to sort through it. If you don't sort through it up until your deadline, you're really handling it on a first come, first served basis, which it's kind of weird to me. The other thing is the application requires that you have a IRS determination letter. Did you get it? That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan.
okay, I don't see any other questions.
I don't, but I have a question. One important aspect, we talked about this with Brandon, is sort of branding. So, part of what we do for MPGs is to get the word out about a neighborhood council.
That is not part of what MPGs are for. Based on the LA clerk's application packet, there's no obligation for there to be any recognition of GTLNC as part of receiving an MPG. That is not a requirement whatsoever.
Not a requirement. Okay, good. I just want to make sure because we discussed that a few minutes ago. Secondly, this MPG, it says 5,000 and it's really up to 5,000. Through the discussion, it could be less than 5,000 if we feel. I am fully supported. I like this MPG a lot. I think I reached out to PALS really as a result of what I perceived as the increased crime, violent crime in our neighborhood, and I thought, how else can we stop this or help stop this from the foundation? And it was recommended to me to approach PALS. And I really couldn't think of a better way to address that really serious situation more directly. Though I feel any money spent here could almost save one of our lives. Hi, Catherine, you have a question? Yes. Catherine, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I mean, you can finish speaking. I was going to make a request to adjust the funding amount.
Sure. That's why I brought that up. Okay, any other discussion from stakeholders? I see.
So now that you're done speaking, I wanted to request that I move to reduce the funding amount to 2,500. Ren, do you mind muting for a moment? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
I muted him.
Thank you.
Catherine, how much?
To 2,500, which based on the $500 amount that was mentioned would be funding 5 students, which would be similar to the amount that it looks like we funded for the YMCA program, which was $400 per student, and we passed that at $2,000. So that would be covering 5 students at $400 per student. So that's my reasoning. So that's my motion. If there is a second, then
I second that. I second.
Any other motions? The secondary? Right, we're all set? Okay,
So, well, this was a motion to amend the amendment or
Right.
to amend the
Now-
motion.
now we'll have discussion.
I seconded it. So now we need to discuss that and vote on whether or not we want to amend the motion
Right.
to fund at 2,500 instead of 5,000.
Ren, is your hand raised for this, for the amendment, $2,500 amendment? Okay, you can unmute yourself or I'll unmute you.
Yeah, I raised my hand before Catherine even spoke, but I would strongly recommend that we spend the full $5,000. The program is, I think, much broader, and of course, it's all year compared to the youth and government program. So I don't think they're comparable in that sense, and I think. The youth and government program, I believe in that very strongly, but it doesn't have the same direct impact and seriousness I think that this PALS program has. So I would recommend we do the full 5,000. It's not like we've got a bunch of other competing grant applications that I'm aware of. Or Colby, could you fill that in?
We don't have any at the moment.
Not right now. I reached out to a few and I'm waiting for NPGs to come in, but as is, no one else has submitted it.
And Ren, I agree with you. I do feel that the YMCA program was wonderful, but this has a much broader reach for the community. It's not just the local area. And just to remind the board once again that we have only a few months to encumber funds. And even though June 1st is the end of the term, I think June 30th is the end of the term. If these funds are not encumbered and voted on before then, we will lose the money. The money will go right back to the city. So to spend the money and help the community before it gets to be the end of the deadline is, I strongly advise.
I agree, Emily. I think we should spend it for the what do you call it? The PALS. $5,000 is not too much long term when you look at the effect.
Thank you.
And I see Jonathan Gregory. Hi, Jonathan.
I did mention before that you're supposed to have the IRS determination letter as a part of the package. It wasn't included with the posting. So the question is, was it included or wasn't it? Because it's required, it's not optional. I think it's a great idea to put the money into it, but it seems to me like your planning hasn't encompassed outreach yet. So I don't know, and you still have this program with a deadline in the future. I'm not sure why this was put on this meeting and why you just don't wait until you get them all in and do it all at once so that you know what you're dividing up. There's some common sense to that, but it does seem like a worthy cause.
Well, we could wait too long. There's, as you know, there's only really like 3 or 4 solid meetings ahead of us, and I don't want it to go to waste. Catherine, about the Jonathan, can you comment on Jonathan's point about the determination letter for Arthur?
I have not seen a determination letter.
I don't see one either. So that would preclude us from being able to vote on this tonight. Is that correct?
No. No, I don't.
If it has been submitted to the city, I think we're okay. If the city,
we have the same agreement for the YMCA.
Okay. Jonathan, real quick.
I don't know if I'm unmuted or not. It's right on the form that it's a part of the form. You're supposed, that's why I said, please screen these things before you put them on the meeting. That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, look at the form, just read it, and it's supposed to be there. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Am I still on mute?
No, you're unmuted. You can talk.
Oh, Kobe, I just sent you the IRS determination letter, and I apologize that.
Thank you so much.
I guess I did not see that. So.
Thank you, Ross. Catherine or Arthur, do you see a problem going forward with voting on this tonight, even though we did not receive the IRS determination letter? with the packet?
No, if you've received it now, then we are able to proceed with a vote.
Okay. And
Okay,
we'll
we
submit
just
that.
have to determine whether their motion, if the board
To
wants
amend.
to amend,
So
or if we're
amend
gonna
the
go
amount.
forward with the up to 5,000. So,
No, so we need to vote on my motion to amend.
Correct.
And, okay.
Okay,
Yes.
I say we move that to vote.
okay,
Right.
so
Any
I'm
discussion?
going to read motion B to approve up to to amend the amount from 5,000 to 2,500 to fund the North Hollywood Jeopardy program for youth through the East Valley Pals Neighborhood Purpose Grant. We have a first and a second. I'm going to take a vote, and bear with me, guys, because I got to copy and paste here. So I'm going to start
And
with
to clarify, this is a vote on changing the motion
amount.
language, not passing any amount, just
Correct.
changing the
The
motion
amount.
language.
Correct. So I'm going to start with Catherine. How do you vote? Do you want to approve changing the amount?
Yes.
Okay. Arthur?
No.
No. Robin? No. Nick? Is Nick still here?
I don't see Nick.
No, he
Okay,
left.
excused. Ren?
No.
Okay. Fred Iberry?
No.
Okay. Matt is excused. Lee Jamison, this is to approve changing the amount from 5,000 to 2,500. So if you
We do
vote-
not have Lee on the line.
I
Yes,
am on the
Okay.
line.
he is.
I am.
So
I
Lee,
want
this vote is not to approve whether we give the money, it's to approve whether we change the amount from 5,000 to 2,500. So if you vote yes, you're gonna make the amount 2,500. And if you vote no, it means we're gonna stick with the up to 5,000.
I'm gonna go for 5,000 because it's a good program.
So a no. Okay, Susanna?
No.
Okay, Paige?
No.
Great. Tess?
Yes.
Yes. Kevin?
No.
Sean?
No.
And Jake is off the call, but he's ineligible. Okay, so your motion does not
And me.
carry.
Okay.
It is, oh wait, I forgot Colby. Colby?
No, also.
No. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 no's. I have 1 ineligible and I have 2 yeses. So motion carries not to drop the funding down to 2,500. So now we're going to go back to motion B to approve up to $5,000 to fund the North Hollywood Jeopardy program for youth through the East Valley Pals Neighborhood Purpose Grant. I'm going to start again, but give me 1 second. I just have to make a new graph. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So I just read the motion. I'm going to start with Catherine.
And this is for approving the full
This is
amount.
for approving the up to 5,000. Yes.
All right. Yes.
Okay. Arthur,
Yes.
Robin, I'm a yes. Nick is off, so excused. Ren,
Yes.
Fred Iberry,
Yes.
thank you. Matt is excused. Lee,
Affirmative.
thank you, Lee. Susanna,
Yes.
Paige,
Yes.
Tess,
Yes.
thank you. Kevin,
Yes.
thank you, Kevin. Sean,
Yes.
and Jake is ineligible, but he's off the call. Okay, motion carries. Oh, wait, Colby.
Yes,
I
yes.
always have to go back to you,
It's okay.
sorry.
I say yes.
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 yeses. And nobody voted no, so it's 12-0-0. Well, yeah, 1 is ineligible. Okay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you so much, Ross. Thank you for doing
Thanks,
all
Ross.
that you do.
It was worth the wait, wasn't it?
Yeah. Listen, I sent Colby an invite tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we're having a town hall meeting regarding the shooting at the Burlington department store. So if anyone's interested, I just sent the invite to Colby, and you're more than welcome to sign on to that. As all of you know, that was just a sad thing that happened. And anyway, if you want to hear what's going on, that's tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
Okay. Thank you, Russ. I really appreciate that. I'll probably join in. I want to learn more about that. And again, I feel really good about this. And again, I appreciate your patience and all your dedication to this the service you provide us.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on to redistricting of CD4. I've reached out to Krikorian's office, and I was speaking with Jackie Keene, representative from Krikorian's office. I invited Jackie to this meeting. I don't see Jackie in our attendees list, or anyone else. If you're from Krikorian's office, please raise your hand at this time. No one's raising their hand. Okay, any comments on our CD2 status right now for anyone?
Do we know who our new representative is? Our
I believe
new
it's Jackie.
Alice Roth, our new Mehmet?
I believe it's Jackie Keene. I invited Jackie to this meeting, and I provided a Zoom link. But that's it so far. That's who Mehmet passed us off to.
Okay, great.
If Krikorian is going to be in our district, we can count on a lot of development, unfortunately.
Well, Krikorian is, that's who we're
He's he's our new city councilman, Lee.
Yep. I know, that means we're screwed.
Okay. Any other comments about CD2? If not, I'm going to move forward to review of fiscal year 2022 and current financial status, which essentially is me beating the same drum as before. Please reach out to the community and give us ideas for more NPGs and more ways we can help. Doesn't need to be NPGs, could be something else. Again, we're not doing in-person events. We're not going to do anything like that. That'll save some money. We need to repurpose that money another way, and we are under the gun to do so. We only have really 4 more meetings left, general board meetings, or am I right, Robin, or even fewer?
No, it isn't. It isn't that. We have till the deadline to encumber the funds is, I believe, June 30th. But as anybody who's been on the board, Ren, you can attest to this. If the money is not encumbered by, let's say, May, the very latest, the money will not go through. Even if we vote on it, the city can refuse it. They can say it's past the deadline. There's so much that has to happen in order to get something encumbered.
And we're looking at February, March, April, May.
Yeah.
June, and just even get stuff. And there's also been some turnarounds or turnover in the city with our liaison in the city clerk's office, which is not going to be helpful for it won't expedite payments or our money situation at all. So.
And we have encouraged the board. We've encouraged the public. We have put social media blasts and also newsletters. Go out into the community, look for a nonprofit, encourage them to apply for an MPG. We have this money, we want to spend it. Please find something, good for the community that benefits all of us. We're totally open, just like tonight. If a worthy cause comes upon us, we're happy to entertain the idea of handing over money to support their efforts. So please, March 31st is the deadline to get us an MPG. Even though it's not due, we gave the public and everyone the deadline of March 31st. So that is the deadline to get an MPG in front of this board so that we have time to look at it, investigate it, and vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then with that in mind, I think we'll move forward to Arthur, the treasurer's report, unless there's some other comment. I don't see any, so we're going to move forward. Hi, Arthur. I'm going to make you co-host.
Perfect.
And Arthur, read the motion first, please.
I'll read the motion. We have Motion C, approve the November 2021 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Do we have a first?
Catherine first.
Thank you, Catherine.
A second?
Susanna. Thank you, Susanna.
Okay.
Discussion? Go ahead. Actually,
Oh,
Arthur, you
yeah.
go ahead and give your report. Sorry.
Share my screen. So we had ended October with $28,106. We had spent $272 in operating costs. Those include $96 for Google, $150 for our mailbox in Toluca Lake, and then $26, $25.99 for MailChimp. We had 2 Apple One invoices processed for a total of $1,473.96, leaving us with a balance of $26,360. Do we have any questions or comments for November?
I don't see any hands raised. I'm still waiting. Give people time. No, nothing.
Okay, Robin, can you do a roll call vote?
Sorry, I'm muted. Sorry. Okay, we're going to read motion C to approve the November 2021 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Catherine.
Yes.
Thank you. Arthur.
Yes.
Robin, I'm a yes. Nick, I believe is off the call. Yes. Ren.
I vote yes, and I'll be the first mover on that if you want to fill
Oh,
that.
we did it. We did it already. This
Oh,
is.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
then
you. Fred.
Yes.
Matt is excused. Lee.
Affirmative.
Thank you, Lee. Susanna.
Yes.
Thank you. Paige.
Yes.
Thank you. Tess.
Yes.
Thank you. Kevin.
Yes.
Thank you. Sean.
See if it's here.
Sean.
Here. Sean.
Right. Sean.
Sorry, I apologize. Yes, I thought I
No
was off mute.
worries. Yes vote.
Yes, please. Yes.
And Colby.
Yes.
Great. And Jake is ineligible. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12-0-0. Motion carries. Okay. Motion D. Go ahead and read that.
Motion D, approve the December 2021 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Do we have a first?
Catherine first.
Thank you, Catherine.
I'll be seconded.
Thank you, Lee.
Okay.
I'm looking for hands up for discussion.
You go ahead and give your report.
Sure. So we had ended November with $26,360. We had operating costs of $122. Those include Google for $96 and then MailChimp for $25.99, leaving us with $26,000 and $300. So it's, do we have any questions or comments?
I don't see any, but we'll give it another few seconds. Unless people have a fixed time for them to push the hands up button. No, nothing here.
Okay, so let's go ahead and read the motion and take a vote. Motion D to approve the December 2021 MER and expenditures for reconciliation submission to the city clerk. Catherine.
Yes.
Arthur.
Yes.
Robin, I'm a yes. Ren.
yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Matt is excused. Lee.
Affirmative.
Thank you. Susanna.
Yes.
Paige.
Yes.
Thank you, Paige. Tess?
Yes.
Thank you, Tess. Kevin?
Yes.
Thank you. Sean?
Yes.
Jake is ineligible. Colby?
Yes.
Great. Again, 12-0-0. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Arthur.
Yeah. Thanks, Arthur.
And Arthur, is there anything you want to add about the MPGs and encumbering the money before a certain deadline? Is there any insight you'd like to give us?
Usually, we need to have everything done by our May meeting. The city would have us submit everything for payment around June 1st, and that requires us to have all the documentation together. So complete package, the board voting on everything, and all the supporting documentation together.
So the board has to pass something and all the documentation submitted
by June 1st.
By June 1st. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Colby, we're going to move on to planning and land use.
Yes, planning and land use. There'll be some discussion tonight regarding the chairmanship of Plum. I believe it's a good idea to put Fred Berry as a co-chair, to install Fred Berry as a co-chair with Ren Blight. I believe Ren has strong long-term institutional knowledge of this board and of planning and land use. I also believe, to be candid, that he's, as I am, challenged by Zoom and which I am too, and it's understandable. I also believe that it's to bring on, a fresh perspective on planning and land use. And I believe that Ren works best, maybe more behind the scenes. And I have a lot of faith in Fred. He's been on Plum, for several months now, and he has been a Toluca Lake resident for, I believe, all his life, or most of his life. And so I believe that Fred and Ren would make a good team. And I open this up to discussion from the board and to stakeholders.
Well, let me just jump in for a second and just say, Colby and I have discussed it, Fred and I have discussed it, and I think we've got an idea of how this is going to work out, and I think it'll really improve the performance of the planning committee. So I wholeheartedly support it.
Fred, do you have any comments?
I'll take my comments till the end if you don't mind.
Sure. I see a hand raised in the public. Hi, David.
Hey, Colby. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I've been to quite a number of land use committees meetings over the last couple of years. Yeah, this is a very important committee. Millions of dollars are at stake. Huge pressure is being put on the committee to support development, highly organized developers, panicked locals trying to oppose things. We heard some of it tonight with the Gelsons. And the meetings need to be ultra well organized to be able to click on things, have access to plans, these marketing pitches that the developers bring, highly polished stuff. And so I support Fred. I'm not totally sure about Ren, although he's a cool guy. I'd be willing to see how this goes, give it a try for 6 months or so, and then come back to it and see how we did, with an idea that maybe Fred would continue on his own, maybe. So, but I appreciate the fact that both of them want to do this. It's a lot of work, maybe 20 hours of preparation for a 1 or 2 hour meeting. So we need to give them a lot of credit as well for hanging in there and being ready to give this a go. My main concern is the committee is way too pro-development with the way it is now. We've got serious protection problems. We don't have enough. And the meetings get skewed in favor of developers. It's subtle, but if you look for it, it's right there. That's got to stop. It's absolutely got to stop. And if that means Rin needs to go and do something else, I wish him well. But we really need to monitor this very closely. Thanks.
Thanks, David. And I see Jonathan has his hand raised.
There we go. Thank you. I don't see this as a solution at all because you can separate it into two problems. One of the problems is just the capability to organize the meeting and keep it on track. That's a academic qualification. The larger problem is that Rain has demonstrated his unwillingness to separate his duality of interest, if you like to call it, with beautification partners and the neighborhood council. This is a big deal. I feel like on the meeting of November 8th, I watched him railroad through what you call the streetscape project, which isn't yet in front of the neighborhood council for its approval. And he spoke using we got to get that through. That's inappropriate because that's his private interest at another organization that's unrelated to the neighborhood council. I asked him exactly who is we. Now there's a right way and a wrong way to do something. Maybe that's a really good project, maybe it's not, but the wrong way to do it is to railroad it through. And what that demonstrates is that the chair is not willing or capable or both not willing to do the job of separating his personal interest. So when I say, who is this we? The neighborhood council and the beautification partners, here's his answer. I want you to hear it from the public record.
Okay, the we I use does include the GTLNC. The beautification partners is a group made up of the homeowners, the Chamber of Commerce, the Garden Club, and GTLNC, and some other people and political representatives.
I'll turn it off right there because you've heard it. He's not willing to separate it. Now, I'm not saying that might be a good project, but let me tell you, that's about a $500,000 or more project. And a lot of the stakeholders might be more interested in having police, but that's to sort out at another point in time. You're seeing that meeting is being conducted with railroading going on and a duality of interest and no conscientious effort whatsoever on the part of the chair to separate his duality of interest. That's a legal term for it. And that's inviting an intervention from the city. So Colby, I'm very sorry, but you're making a very bad choice that could have some consequences here because you're the one who nominated him. The way
Thank
the
you so much,
bylaws are
Jonathan.
written,
That's
you're
3 minutes.
responsible.
Jonathan,
Thank you very
that's
much.
3 minutes.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hold on, throw my timer here. Next up, we have, I see Joanne from the public.
Hi, yes, I mean, personally, Ren seems like a great guy. I know he's been on the council for a long time, and this is nothing personal. I have nothing against him personally, but I have to say when it comes to that committee, there is a sense that, he is pro-development, not neutral and not community minded, because I'm going to agree with the speaker before me about that December meeting. I mean, we all, I think every person that spoke, including myself, was like, this meeting should not be on this way. It should be stopped. It should be done the right way. It felt like it was being railroaded in. And it very much feels like Ren has a lot of personal, I don't know, financial interest, or I don't know if it's fiduciary or if it's just personal interest, but it does have that feeling of not neutrality. Like, I know everyone is going to have their preference, like, you're pro-development, you're anti-development. That's not what I'm talking about, but it just has the feeling of, like, I want to ask, do you make money? Like, are you guys getting financial benefit from these developers? And the speakers before me is correct too. This is going to draw attention from the city. And if there is any kind of financial benefit to Ren, it really needs to be said. Or if it's not, like, we need to know, because your community has been speaking up that they don't want massive, rapid development. They don't want these projects. but the board right now seems very, like they want to push this through. They want it. We don't feel like we're being heard. And you're hearing this from person after person after person. And so please, I'm asking the board, I'm going to ask you straight out. Do you guys have any are you receiving financial benefit? Not everyone, but Ren, are you receiving financial money or interest or anything from this development? And like, it's nothing personal.
Yeah, with the chair's approval.
Joanne, I have a question too.
I'm sorry, Lee, we have to keep it orderly.
And I just want to make another point about the attorney on somebody is, again, I can totally forgive not being able to, do the Zoom and all that stuff. And I appreciate all the work you put into it. I totally get that. But my problem is it just feels like so pro-development, and that's alarming to me. Thank you. I just my piece.
Thank you,
Nothing
Joanne.
personal.
Thank you. Yeah, we're trying not to keep it personal. We're going to move on to Brandon. Hi, Brandon.
I had a question about, I would like to hear more discussion about how co-chairs will separate duties. So hopefully there will be discussion about that.
There will be. We're just going to get through comments and then we'll go. We're going to have
specifically and any insight on that. Sorry, Colby, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I know that there are co-chairs on other committees, so I just would like some insight from those folks that are on those committees. So thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. I see two hands raised, and Robin was first. Hi, Robin.
Hello. Okay, well, first of all, and I'll be brief here. I have known Ren and worked with Ren since, 2014. I am aware of his ethics, his morals. He's a family man. He's lived in the community as long as I have, which is over 30 years. I don't know how much longer he's been here. His family has lived in this community, and I'm talking extended family, relatives, cousins in this community for many, many decades. They love this community. They do not want development. That is not his personal wish. He has been on numerous boards, including the president of this board. He has been part of the Toluca Lake Beautification Partner, which I am also a member of, and have been with Ren and Ryan Eltoon since its inception in 2014. And just to reiterate, the Toluca Lake Beautification Partner is a group that was established back in 2014 or 15 with all four groups from Toluca Lake. They got together, created a nonprofit to continue to do work in the community that benefits the entire community. And if you look at the Toluca Lake Beautification boundaries, which exceeds much broader than any of the other four groups, it is responsible for the replanting and repurposing of the on and off ramps. 3 on and off ramps, Cahuenga, and on and off ramps at Cahuenga. They replanted it. There was a huge fire there a few years ago. Toluca Lake Beautification Partner not only took a $1 million project and did the entire replanting, and it's the first time in history that they were able to work with Caltrans to do this project for the record $30,000. So I have seen, witnessed, and been part of great work that this community group has done. And the group is made up of all four organizations. So when you say that Ren has a personal interest, we all have a personal interest. It's our community. We love this community. We live in this community. And it is imperative that you stop attacking people that are trying to do good in this community. So please, just let us try to move forward and let us get some wonderful things done, including the streetscape, including the underpass with lighting and safety to this community. There are so many great things we can do, but you have to be open to the idea that things have to move forward, not necessarily development, but just safety alone.
Robin, that's 3 minutes.
Yep. And we're going to move. Thank you, Robin. Elise had his hand up literally for a long time.
Real quick question. The only problem I have as far as Rand, he does seem to be pro-development because he wanted me to vote for that what do you call it? Harvard thing to be developed. Are you pro-development, Rand? I mean, or was it just one instance?
Ren, you're muted.
Muted. I'm down.
I think, first off, I just want to say I am not now, nor have I ever taken any money from any developer on any project related to or even in the neighborhood of Toluca Lake. I've never worked, consulting or any other way to receive any money from any of those people. I've done this totally for the good of our community. And I know there are a lot of people out there who can't believe that somebody would spend as much time as I have over the years without getting something in my back pocket. But frankly, no, I never have. I don't own any property in Toluca Lake at this point. In fact, I live downtown at this point. So, I don't have any axe to grind here personally on any of this, except I would like to see some of the projects that we've worked on for years and years to reach fruition. And I ran for the council again this time with that in mind. And being chair of the planning committee put me in a position to try and move some of these projects along. And, we've gotten bogged down on a lot of process and a lot of issues that, really don't move our community forward. And to answer Lee, I would like to see Toluca Lake develop appropriately and effectively for the benefit of the people who live here. To try and freeze the community the way it is, I think is a mistake. So we have to look at every project. We can't automatically say we don't want anything. We can't automatically say we love everything that's proposed. We have to look at each project and weigh it and see if along the way, we can make improvements to it. And I think everybody ought to know that the planning department in the city has a whole process, and it's very formal. It's very cut and dry in a lot of cases. So our impact on projects oftentimes is just around the edges. And I mentioned at our meeting, and I'll mention it again, one example of how we can have an impact is the project where we reduced a proposal for a 4-story condominium project down to 3 stories. And it's the one across from the parking lot at Trader Joe's. And it's still not a great, project. And the neighbors still have to look up at a 3-story building, but it was going to be 4. And the city would have allowed 4 if we hadn't stepped in. There are opportunities like that all the time if we get out in front of projects, if we really work together. And I can't do all the research myself, and I think Fred is going to help me. And he's hopefully going to help me on the technical side of running the meetings, because that's also important. So, I know it's real late, and I've.
Robert Savelli has his hand raised, and he was a former chair also of this committee. Hi, Bob.
I would second everything that Robin said. I've worked with Rand for the last probably 7 years, both as a stakeholder, just attending meetings, and then finally as a member of the neighborhood council. And then, as Colby mentioned, chairman of the planning committee for 2 years. The idea that this man is benefiting financially from developments in our communities. And it's just beyond the pale. We have to understand the committee and the council doesn't approve projects. They get approved by city planning if they come to the council. Most of the projects are by right. I live on the corner of Ledge and Riverside Drive. There's a story building that's going up as we speak that never came to the council. It's a by right project. The project where we live, Gelson, that project was approved by the council. I wasn't on the council then 2.5 years ago. All he was asking for, not all, but was a TOC, and he gets more density and less parking. But if we deny him that, which wasn't, the city planning approved that project. If we had denied that, if the city planning had denied that project, he could have built a by right project. So in which case you couldn't have stopped him at all. So we have not, and let me emphasize, the committee has not, and I'm getting a little emotional, but the committee has not reviewed a project for 2.5 years. So the idea that we're pro-development is absolutely stupid. As Ren says, we're pro-housing. The community needs housing, and we want to hear about that. We're pro-improvements to this committee. The larger projects you're talking about are public works. They have nothing to do with development, streetscape, or any of the other, or the overpass project. Those are public works projects that'll be handled by the DOT. They're not giving Ren money. This is insane. It's really insane, and you people have just lost your minds.
So basically, it sounds like, okay, it sounds like the constituents need to complain to the governor and to the city, excuse me, to stop the development. Is that correct?
And where are they going to live?
Who cares? We have enough.
Oh, well, we do care. I'm sorry, Lee.
Okay, we got
There's
to move
too
on.
much.
We have structure here. Tess, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Colby. So, I've spoken to you privately about this, and I don't approve of the co-chair situation. I would much prefer that Fred Ibarri be the sole chair, and that for whatever historical value he brings, and he certainly does bring some, that Ren can remain on the committee. I share a concern with Brandon that who would really be in charge in the event of a disagreement between the two chairs. That really needs to be clear. And I don't think that this is merely a technical situation. As Ren has said himself, he doesn't live in the area anymore. He hasn't been in the area for some years now. And I don't think he has the vested interest of a resident, of a current resident.
A reminder that stakeholder status is not limited to residents.
Okay, well, he doesn't live in the area anymore, and I think that's relevant with respect to planning and land use issues in particular. This is not about personal prejudice. This is purely factual, and our meetings have not been well run at all. We haven't gotten much done, and I think it's very, very important, and this has been brought up repeatedly, that we need to see documentation in advance. We need to see case numbers. We need to see the underlying materials before the meetings well in advance, and that is something that has been very hard won and almost never provided. So I also do not see a collaborative attitude with Ren. He prefers to tell us how it's going to be rather than working with the committee as a whole. And those are the problems that I have shared with Colby, and I know that are shared by other committee members. So thank you.
Thank you, Tess. I see Jonathan, I think you've spoken on this already. Please keep it short.
No, Jonathan's already spoken on
Okay.
this. We do not allow people to speak twice on the same topic.
Catherine for reminding me of that. I'd like to just say that, well, Fred, if you want to talk now, you can talk, or I'll, I see strong collaboration between Fred and Ren. What I don't like to hear, okay, go ahead, Fred. Why don't you, I'd rather have you say it than me.
No,
Hi, Fred.
go ahead, Colby, finish your thought, please.
Yeah, okay. Obviously I believe in you and in the two of you working together. But just to move forward, I really don't think it, I believe it sounds like there's accusations being leveled at Ren, or, insinuations that he's somehow, taking money or something like this. I just want to remind people that this is all recorded, and there is freedom of speech, but there's also repercussions for making false accusatory accusations, which could border on slanderous. I'm not an attorney, but just be aware, don't say something that you can't back up. And I strongly do not believe that there's anything like that going on. And and this is mentioned a lot by in our meetings, and I don't see why these accusations have to be made. And it just seems unreasonable, and it's getting a little too much. Jonathan, you've already spoken. Joanne, you've already spoken on this also.
You're going to move on to Fred.
Yeah, Fred.
Okay, well, I guess my turn. So, gosh, this is quite the meeting, and I'll try to keep my things short because I know it's getting late. I'd love to get past all these touchy issues with planning and land use and just really move on with important issues pertaining to planning and be productive to do, what we're all here for. And I'm kind of getting sick and tired of all this. I don't even know the word to use, what's going on, but evidently we're trying to change things, and I think they're making progress, so that's good. And I did have a very nice discussion with Colby and Ren, and I do like the progress that's being made, and I absolutely would give back to the community in the form of being a chair of Plum Committee, which my goals with that would strictly be as an impartial moderator that conducts a meeting and do that the best way that I can and go through the motions with calling to order, roll call, approving the minutes, discussion, and just go back and forth through the motions. And that's my job, just to coordinate that. And I'll let everybody else speak and just move the meeting along. So in providing that role, yes, I would like to do that. And I certainly can be in charge of the minutes, making sure they get posted, and also setting the agenda. Now, the one concern that I have is the autonomy of who's going to be in charge of what. And from what I understand, because I certainly wouldn't want any conflict, because that would certainly put the committee backwards and be wasting their time. I would not want any type of issue to come up where Ren and I would conflict and would hold the meeting up. So that kind of bothers me, and I think that it would need to be spelled out, and I'm sure it will. But the autonomy is really my one concern, which other people has brought up too. So if one person is in charge of the meeting, the minutes, the agenda, fine. And if the other person is, advisory, that's fine too. And if there's, a special meeting and then the other co-chair goes into that, that's a little vague and unclear. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be really comfortable in taking this on entirely until those are ironed out and it's spelled out. From what I understand, on the February meeting, they are asking me to chair it. So it will be my meeting to chair. And we're going to give it a shot for the first time, and I'm willing to try it out and see how it goes. So that's what I told Ren. That's what I told Colby, is that let's try it out and see how it goes. No one's committing to anything, and let's see how it goes. And I'm sure I'm going to be making mistakes too, because it's a new thing for me, and I'm totally open to any sort of criticism or how I can do my job better too. I'm willing to take the challenge, and what's the saying? Should you accept this challenge? Yes, I accept it. But again, not that I'm committing for the next 18 months. Let's see how it goes. And if the committee members approve of my my action, what I have, what I'm trying to say. They approve of my competence, then we can move forward. And maybe there's a different title for the co-chairs. Who knows? I don't really care about titles to begin with. But
Would it make sense for this discussion to be held between you, Ren, and Fred, and you can take it offline, so it's not?
Certainly, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. I just want to have some more discussion, have some discussion with the stakeholders, and now I believe it's time to move on. And I will be, at your beck and call, questions or considerations or concerns, Fred, and also Ren. I want to hear from you, and if it doesn't go well, we'll make another adjustment. But I want to give this a try, and I think it'll work.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
All right. Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Ren. We're going to move on. We still have a lot more going on. I think we're going to be here till midnight. Next up, we have GTLNC set of criteria for developers' future projects. Back to you, Ren. Let's unmute you. Oh, we couldn't hear you. There you go.
There we go. We're going to have a special meeting, and we haven't set the date for that yet, but this is a difficult issue to work under the requirements of done. So we're trying to create the criteria. One of the members of the committee, Brandon, has been involved in that, and I'm going to hopefully bring him in to help with that. But the full committee is ultimately going to need to come up with a set of recommendations, which of course will then come to the full council to review. I think it's important for us as a neighborhood council to set out the guidelines for developers. So anybody who brings a project in, we tell them what we want, what we don't want during the whole process and even during construction, so that if they step over the line, then we can point to something specific and say, you clearly have violated something that we've made clear. So that's what that is about. The community plan status, it's still up in the cloud somewhere. The draft has been put together by the planners, and they sent it up the line. It hasn't come back out for community review yet. As soon as it does, they will have public meetings, and we'll try to get word out to as many people as possible. It's very important that we get involved in the community plan because it's a 10-year, at least, set of guidelines. And I know Lee wants to minimize development.
Absolutely.
People want to maximize development, and we need to find some ground that we can all feel is at least reasonable.
How about 1 for 1? You tear down a house, you build a new house.
Yeah. On the community, on the proposed wall, we just recently got a proposal that the owner at 10459 Camarillo wants to, he has actually a fence now, but he wants to move it close to the street. There's a big tree there. He wants to have that tree be effectively in his side yard. But we'll go over that with the owner at our next meeting, our regular meeting. Angled parking on Foreman. The city has now approved finally the contract for that. I talked to the engineer architect that was selected to do that. And he's right now getting ready to pick out staff to work on that. So at least that's moving forward. The Gelson's Market at Mariota and Riverside, clearly that needs to go on our list. But I think it was mentioned earlier, the liquor license part of it, we all need to go online and say no, basically. And then from there, there'll be hearings and it'll be a whole process. But if Gelson's can't get a liquor license, then that lease is probably not going to work. The developer, when they first came in, of course, talked about allowing Red Door and that, a restaurant to be in there, and talked about 2 or 3 other potential tenants, none of which evidently have come to the surface. So now there's a new proposal, and we probably want to bring the whole project back for a second review by the planning committee. That's it. Any questions?
David Wheatley?
Thank you. I'm a little confused. I thought that Fred and Ren, as of this moment, like 5 minutes ago, were co-chairing this. So I'm not sure why we're hearing so much from Ren. Maybe he knows more about it. I'm really, really alarmed at the pro-development attitude coming from Ren. We are in so much trouble. I wish I'd heard him say that before I talked the last time. We really need to hear from Fred right now, I think. Thanks.
To clarify,
Do you have
the
anything you want
report from the previous meeting, this is a report from the last meeting, which Ren was still the sole chair of. This is a committee report.
Brett, if you'd like to chime in, you're welcome to chime in. Real quick.
Well, yeah, really quick. My official duties as chairman aren't supposed to start till February, the first meeting in February. So I don't know if it's appropriate for me to comment or not, but I'm happy to talk as long as you want me to. But this meeting is getting long, and I can always save my comments for the February meeting, unless you want me to elaborate.
That's fine, Fred. Thank you. See Joanne. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, sorry. Yes, what my concern was is like more like conflict of interest in jobs. I thank you both of you for giving the impassioned plea for Ren. I don't know Ren, you know, and I trust that. I don't think there's doing anything. I'm not talking about anything inappropriate, like, you know, bad wise. I'm just talking about conflict of interest because I don't know. Some people are in real estate and just different things. It's more like, are you working? My question is really like, are you working in development? And because there does seem to be, and it's okay if you're pro-development, it doesn't really matter as long as the community is being listened to and that we feel that we are, you know, getting our voices heard. So I'm not talking about anything inappropriate behavior. I'm just talking more like, you know, if you guys are in real estate and are making, you know, your livelihood on development, that's more what I am referring to. And so as you talk to the community, I'm hoping that you would come up with guidelines for as you go forward with development, because we all know we need housing, but we just want to, you know, if there is a conflict of interest, you know, ever say so. If there's, you know, we would love to have more, to hear more about where you guys, you know, like, you know, Lee flat out asked, you know, about where people stand. And I think that helps the community get to know you. I don't doubt your integrity at all as far as, you know, personally and then being on the board. But when, you know, when you say like, you know, we do that, you know, everyone's like part of these things. And yes, you're part of your community, but it is the community's job to make sure lines aren't crossed because it's concerning. I mean, there's a lot of us that are concerned with the pro-development attitude. It's not like a neutral attitude. And I'm sorry if it bothers the board that this concerns the community, but it does. And so, yeah, you know, I'm not talking, and I just want to put that out there to please be, you know, this open dialogue. As crazy as it's been, I actually appreciate it. Like Robin, I appreciate everything you said tonight. It really helps, you know, and, you know, maybe I didn't word it correctly or like what my concerns are. It's more like, you know, like I know that like you know, there's people they're in development or they're in real estate or they're in banking or brokerage or whatever. And there can be conflicts. It can jade your ability for what you want for your community. So I just want to make sure that whoever's running these committees, that it's, you know, that if they are like, if their career is in, you know, a development thing, okay, but then we need to know that it's more for accountability and authenticity and not and like suggesting that Ren is doing anything wrong. I'm not suggesting that at all. And I think he's a good man. I think he's, you know, I think he's like, I loved hearing everything he's done for this community. I think it's amazing. And I love that. And he's a good guy. Personally, I said it's nothing personal. But the community is concerned about these things, and maybe a little bit of like tonight, hearing how, you know, all the things he's done, that is actually helpful. And I'm glad you're coming
Joanne, I absolutely respect. I think we all do your concern, and we appreciate hearing from you, and that's why the public is always included in these meetings. But one thing you need to understand is, as a board member, we take training. We have a fiduciary responsibility not to have conflict of interest. We have an ethics training. We have lots of trainings that we are responsible for. And at any time, if that ever comes to light that we have a conflict and it's not put to light at the very beginning, we can be removed from the board. So I hear your concern, but we all kind of take the oath with the councilman at the beginning of term that this is our responsibility. So I hear what you're saying and I appreciate it. And please ask questions. We're here. We're here for the community.
All right. And Joanne, you hit 3 minutes. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised. We're a little more than halfway through the meeting, just to let you know, it's 10 o'clock. So
Corey, can I make a request that we jump to environmental? Vicky has been waiting to speak on the motion on that for 3 hours.
okay. Yes, is she?
Why
Yeah.
don't we jump to environmental? And if Nick is still
Oh, I
on,
see.
we can do,
No, Nick has been off for
Nick is
Been up for a while.
the past hour.
okay. Did you?
Okay, environmental, yes, we skipped
governmental
ahead to
as well?
environmental. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay. So the one item on the environmental is motion E to approve a letter of action requesting the city of LA implement specific policies as part of a just transition to 100% clean energy by 2035. Do I have a first to open discussion?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Who was
Thank
that?
you, Lee.
Lee, I
Lee.
approved it.
Thank you.
Do I have a second to open discussion?
Sean.
Thank you, Sean. And Vicky, I'm going to allow you to present. This is the same motion that had been on our agenda back in October, and we had postponed it, brought it back to committee, had a meeting in December discussing it. Susanna helped to workshop and adjust some of the language. So I hope everyone has now had a chance 3 months later to take a look at this one-page letter that people didn't feel they had time to see in October. And Vicky, do you want to give just a brief summary of what the letter of action is?
Yes, I would love to. I just wanted to remind everybody that on September 1st, 2021, the city of Los Angeles did vote for 100% clean energy by 2035. That was an incredible milestone. And what this letter right here is saying, yes, that is a great goal, but we want to make sure that we do this in a just transition, that we really clean up our local pollution and some of our communities that have been suffering for a long time from our local gas plants. So we don't want to have pathways to that 100% that would keep those dirty, polluting gas plants open. And we don't want to have a lot of renewable energy credits, because that's paying to pollute and it doesn't clean up our local environment. And beyond that, I did send some studies showing that the way forward financially as well as environmentally is to build our local resilience, invest in local solar, invest in local batteries. I mean, we've all seen what heat waves look like. We see what wildfires look like. And the way to really build health and safety in our communities is to follow some of the recommendations here in this letter. And I know that our Energy Committee on the LA City Council is really looking for community support. They really would like to see this kind of way forward, and they want to hear from us. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Is there any discussion on the letter? Any questions? I do see a hand from Bob. Bob, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to speak. You can unmute yourself.
Well, as I'm calling in as a stakeholder, the committee should discuss this first. So they're not going to discuss it?
The committee's met twice
I
on
mean, the
this,
board.
both in October.
I'm not the committee,
and-
I'm sorry, the board.
Sorry, we can go to the board first if we want to, rather than the public. Sure. Okay. We'll go with the board. Ren, I saw your hand up first.
Yes, I really like the letter and I support it, but there's one sentence in there that I think about the fat cats or some equivalent benefiting from the current situation. And I think that's sort of vague and it's not I don't think it helps the letter. I think people reading it might set it down at that point without going through the rest of it. So I would.
Okay, is that line in the second paragraph, avoiding these false solutions along with rapidly retiring what is left of LA's methane, coal, and nuclear facilities will ensure an end to an energy system which benefits those at the top at the expense of our health and safety? Is that the line?
Yes.
Okay, Vicky, I don't know if you have any comments on that specific line. My interpretation had been that it was a discussion, not only that it benefits the owners of these sorts of companies, the corporations that are using those. I'm so sorry, there's a lot of background noise.
I don't know who that is. Everyone else is muted if you're not in conversation.
Sorry, okay. But it also refers to the fact that it is, wealthier communities like Toluca Lake that really benefit, while lower income communities have a tendency to have these sorts of plants and these sorts of disposal facilities in their areas. And so that was my interpretation of those at the top, is referring to not only the corporations, but also to communities like ours that are basically exploiting lower income areas.
I would like to support you on that, Catherine. And I think maybe the letter isn't maybe terrifically worded in that spot, but I think what it's saying is that most of us can be quite far away from the most polluting facilities in this country.
All right, thank you. Ren, did you have another question?
Well, I just wanted when I read it, I thought it was taking a poke at the people who run DWP, and they're paid well, but they're not exactly millionaires. They're people who oversee DWP. Their salary is very public, very open. They don't get much else out of that, as far as I know, and so I'm not sure that it's hard. The who benefits and who suffers from the whole process, I think is I think you're absolutely right. The lower income people, the lower income communities bear much too much of the burden, and the higher income communities don't bear their fair share. But anyway, it's fine. I'll vote for it with or without the language.
About, as we continue the discussion, if you have a different way that you maybe would like to see that line phrased, why don't you think about that? And if you come up with one, let us know. All right, Kevin, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Do you guys have any information about the rise in cost that this will impose upon everybody? It just seems like a self-imposed price increase on everybody. Do you have any information about that, especially at a time when prices across the board are high on everything that we use?
I will remind everyone that prevention is a lot less expensive than fixing a problem. So if we move toward
But do you have actual numbers? Do we know what that
later,
cost is? Okay, it's a noble cause, and I'm for clean water and clean air and clean energy, but do you have any numbers? Do we know what the cost is?
I don't think we have specific numbers for you. There's a lot of moving parts here, but definitely the price of battery storage is plummeting. We see gas rising. We see renewable energy credits going through the roof because every utility in the state of California is fighting to get those RECs. So actually, the way forward financially is to build that local resilience, local energy that we control, not being subject to a lot of outer state transmission, which we are right now, where we lose money and energy. This is the way of the future, and it's the way forward. Every technology here is plummeting in price. So I think over the long term, this is the best route for our city.
So at a time when inflation is where it is, it's a self-imposed expense to everybody for the greater good, is what you're saying, is what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
I actually do think that's the best financial way to go. If you want to say it's for greater good, I would certainly agree with that.
And then the only issue I have with this letter is that it just, this is not a political organization that we're in. This is a community organization, and it just feels like a very politically charged letter. That's my
In
only
what
issue
way?
with it.
In what way is this
Talking
politically
about
charged?
the fair share and it comes across as very partisan, to be perfectly honest.
Wanting to ensure that our lower income communities are protected.
No, Catherine, I think you know what I'm saying. It seems partisan. So that would be my only comment. Again,
I'm concerned
for clean
that
energy, I'm
protecting
for
our
clean water.
environment and our lower income communities is considered a partisan issue.
No, listen, I understand it's a cause that you champion, but that's the way the letter comes across to me. That's my opinion. You're asking for input, and I'm just telling you that's how it comes across, at least to me.
Catherine, when we met online, did you know how many neighborhood councils had sent this letter? Did you ever? I remember I asked that, but
So I don't know the total number that have submitted a letter of action. I know that one submitted it as a CIS. Victoria, do you happen to know off the top of your head how many other neighborhood councils have actually submitted this letter?
There have been some tweaks on the letter. I don't have access to all of those exact wording. I'd say probably a dozen. And I will say that some of the momentum stopped after we got the 100% clean energy by 2035. And I've continued with some of the neighborhood councils in my area. I live in the Burbank area, actually, but I've continued with some of our local councils because I think it's so important how we get there.
Thank you. Any other board questions before we move to public? Tess, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting letter, Catherine, and I would likewise love to see a few more hard numbers, like what is this going to cost? What costs will be reduced? What is, how are things going to be offset? I think a multitude of sins can be cloaked by good intentions, which I see that you have here. But my concern is always going to be the cost. Who is going to bear the cost over what period of time? How is this going to be offset? And who's going to pay for it? So those, seeing some more specifics in this would make me a lot more comfortable with it.
So to clarify what this letter is, it is not a specific, plan of action for, here are these particular exact policies, these particular exact game plans. It is a request to do these things, and they can be implemented in a variety of different ways at a pretty significant range of costs.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments from the board before we move to the public who's been waiting very patiently? All right, go ahead, Bob. You can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. First of all, the letter is extremely well written. I want to thank Vicki, I guess, for putting most of it together, and Catherine and everybody else who was involved in putting together this letter, but I respectfully urge the board to vote no on it. And the reason I say that, I think the time for a letter, or more appropriately, a CIS, was at the City Council September 1 meeting. I attended that meeting, and if you want to go back, and if it's still there as a recording, I would suggest you do, because I learned a lot from it, and I'm in that business. And and at that meeting, what they were talking about was a 4-year study. I'll just give a little background, Vicki, and you can jump in. But the LADWP hired NREL. NREL is our National Renewable Energy Laboratory. It's a subset of Department of Energy. It's a think tank of about 7,000 of the brightest people in this country, and probably the whole world, on what we can do to transition from fossil fuels in transportation and electricity. So they came up with a 4-year plan after number crunching terabytes of data. They came up with this LA 100 plan, which is a skeleton. It doesn't tell the city how to do it, but it gives them several scenarios and several timelines. You can do, if you do this, it'll be 2030. You do this, 2035. You do this, it's 2045, and so on. I know it's late, and I'll try to make this brief. So the city council then, and every city member on that council gave a very impassionate speech about this. They were delighted with it. They voted to give LADWP the green light to take that plan, put the meat on the skeleton, and then report back to the city council every 6 months as to what they're doing. Now, I deal with DWP all the time, not on a building level, but on their professional level. These are very, very capable, bright people who get paid very high salaries to implement this plan. So this letter is so broad. It talks about energy and tenant rights. It's just so unfocused that nobody will do anything about it. So I would suggest you wait until DWP comes back with a plan, and then you can comment on what they're doing to move forward. Cost was issued. Let me just add that at this point, solar energy is the cheapest form of energy in the history of humanity. And that opens up, like you don't believe, opportunities, how we can use energy in different forms, like making green hydrogen. Many people, professionals and countries are banking on hydrogen as the fuel that gets us through heavy transportation, boats, trains, ships. So what we're seeing then is a reduction in cost. That's a myth that this is increasing cost. It's a myth that comes from the fossil fuel industry, obviously. They don't want this to go through. So if you're going to act on something, on January 27th, the California Public Utility Commission is going to vote to kill solar. So that's something that we should react to, and very strongly. And we're already seeing what they're doing to manipulate this is the utilities now, because the public commission is really acting on behalf of the utilities, specifically the 3 privately owned utilities, not the municipal utility like LADWP or Burbank or Pasadena. I'm sorry, I'm
Bob,
on.
can you finish your thought? Yeah, we're at 3 minutes.
So it's not costly. We're talking about climate change, which you've heard often is extensional. The lower class, the lower energy, and the lower earning people in our community will benefit the most, because, as Vicky mentioned, they're the ones who live in San Pedro with all the diesel fuels. They're the ones who live in the heavy industrialized areas. And so they will benefit the most from whatever we do to address climate change.
All right, thank you, Rob. We're going to move on to David Wheatley. You may unmute yourself.
Hi, David Wheatley. Thank you very much for your impassioned pleas, both of you, Victoria and Catherine. I think when somebody is such a fierce advocate like Catherine is, she should recuse herself from the timing and deciding who gets to talk role in the meeting to show more neutrality. Where is the data on this? Evidence driven. Where's the evidence? I hardly see. In fact, I don't see any. I just see impassioned words. Where's the data? None. Unless we're all just supposed to know it. Please explain why 2035 instead of some other year. Why 100%? When I hear about highly paid DWP workers in charge of this, do we really think they're going to forego their highly paid salaries and come up with something else? I don't think so. They're being paid to come up with this particular plan. Also, I've been trying to get hold of the packet for this entire meeting. It doesn't seem to be available. I've been trying to get hold of this letter with all this rhetoric, and I don't see that either. Nobody bothered to hold it up to the screen. So it looks like I would strongly urge this group to pass on this for now. Either that or vote it down until the people involved in it can convert their adjectives and adverbs and verbs into numbers, so we know what we're dealing with here. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I will remind everyone that if you scroll to the bottom of gtlnc.org, you'll be able to download the entire packet of documents, including the MER, our budget, and where we stand for this year right now, the letter of action draft, and the list that we'll be discussing later during governmental affairs of proposed bylaw changes. Jonathan, I see your hand up. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. It is really hard to find that package online. I did find it, but it took a long time. I had to realize that you have to be on the right page and you have to scroll all the way down. and there's nothing that tells you to do that. Anyways, it's there. I think Kevin Dees had some very intuitive remarks about this letter. I think Bob took it further, and I'd like to take it one step further. I agree with Kevin that there's something going on in the letter that, if I had to call it something, I would call it broad-reaching progressive economic advocacy. It has terms like low income, tenant protection, hiring guarantees, pay parity, protect labor agreements, union protections, pension protections. It's not so supportive of any agenda having to do with that one sentence in the letter that I fully support. We urge you to support a transition to 100% clean energy by 2035. That's a good thing. It's late, they already passed it. So you're taking it to the next step, and it seems to be all about shifting the burden off of the backs of poorer people. That's noble, I agree with it. But what Bob said is translated into everyday talk that California is thrusting its citizens from NEM, net energy metering, as far as solar goes. Let me say it this way. If you're a middle-class person, if you live here in Toluca Lake and you make less than, say, $150,000 a year, and you happen to own your own home, and you want to put solar on your roof, and you do it before in NEM 2 right now, which we have, and not in NEM 3, what they were voting for on January 27th, in 2 weeks. It takes about 5 or 6 years to recover your cost for that solar installation. If we go to NEM 3, it will take about 11 years for you to recover your solar installation. So what they're actually doing is shifting the cost for protecting people who can't afford solar onto the backs of middle-class people. So that's called community-based initiatives. So I'm just giving an example that there's something you're feeling in it. I think it's really there. And I think Catherine's efforts might be good for some people, but I kind of don't think the middle class is the person to dump all of this stuff onto. I think that there are people who have enormous amounts of money that should be paying more. So I think you're clued into something going on in this letter, and I don't recommend you vote for it. I don't think it's appropriate for neighborhood council. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Any other comments from the public? I see no other hands up, so we'll go ahead and proceed to a vote. I'll read the motion again, and then Robin, will you do the roll call? Motion E, to approve a letter of action requesting the City of LA implement specific policies as part of a just transition to 100% clean energy by 2035. And Robin, you can read the roll.
Catherine,
Yes.
Arthur,
No.
I'm going to abstain. Nick is excused. Ren,
Yes.
Fred,
No.
Matt is excused. Lee, you gotta unmute. You're still muted. I can't.
You're still muted.
Copy me now?
Yes.
Okay. I want to say I'm really not clear on the idea. I almost want to abstain, but I'm going to say no for now until I can learn more about it.
Okay. Thank you, Lee. Susanna?
Sorry. I'm on the committee, but I'm actually gonna abstain.
Okay. Paige? Is Paige still here?
She's here.
Oh,
I can't hear her though.
Can you hear me?
yeah, I
We
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Yes or no, Paige?
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yes.
Great. Tess?
No.
Kevin?
No.
Sean?
No.
And Jake is excused. Colby?
No.
Colby?
No.
I'm pretty good. And you?
Okay. Lee, do you need to mute again?
Sorry about
Okay, no worries. I'm going to count. For Colby, I have no. Catherine, I have yes. Arthur, I have no. Robin is abstain. Nick is excused. Ren is yes. Fred is no. Matt is excused. Lee is a no. Susanna is an abstain. Paige is a yes. Tess is a no. Kevin is a no. Sean is a no. And Jake is excused. Let me count. So for no, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 no's. And for yes, I have 1, 2, 3 yeses. And I have 1, 2 abstain. So
All right, so the motion fails 3-7-2. All right, thank you so much, Vicki. I really appreciate you taking the time to attend 5 of our meetings to try to get this passed. Thank you for staying so late this evening.
No problem. Let's stay in touch. Thanks.
Have a great evening. Bye. All right. That's really it from environmental for this month, but our next meeting will be on Tuesday, February 8th at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock?
Yes.
Great. Okay, did you have a governmental meeting? Do you want to go on to that, or should we do public safety first?
I'm happy to go into governmental. We do have another document to discuss, which is not being voted on, but we'd like to get everyone's input on our proposed bylaw changes. So up to you.
Mind if we do public safety first, and we'll just
Absolutely go for it.
Great, great. So Colby and I are the chairs. We had an incredible speaker, Crisanta E. Gonzalez. She was from Ready, LA, and she spoke to us about readying our neighborhood in case of a disaster. There's another program called Map Your Neighborhood, very similar, but Ready LA seems to have a much broader reach and more areas of help. So we want to discuss more in detail about that. And I encourage any of you who are not on a neighborhood watch list to please get on a neighborhood watch, because through neighborhood watch, we will probably try to do it street by street, this Ready LA. The incident of stabbing in West Toluca Lake under investigation. That's all I know, unless Tess, you're out there. Did you know a little bit more about the investigation? I know Curtis.
Murder, actually.
Yes, it's well, first of all, Robin, it's not a stabbing, it's a homicide.
Oh, it was. It was
Yeah.
originally, when it was brought up, it was called a stabbing. So I'm going to
Well,
change that. Okay.
It's a homicide, and I'm meeting with Curtis Delbar tomorrow. It is currently under investigation, and I will report more at the next public safety meeting.
Great. Okay. The homeless count, which is scheduled for January 25th, 2022. This, I was told that it may be postponed due to the outbreak of all the COVID cases.
It has been moved, Robin,
It
to
has.
February 22nd.
Great, February 22nd. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, so thank you. Moved. Great, and you do have to register. You have to go online and register if you want to participate. And then let me see. The
Homelessness Service Guide.
Yes, do you want to talk on that, Colby?
Luis Oliard has come on, discussed with us, and I've talked to him a couple times about this. And if you might remember, Luis and Nick worked with him also to help clean up the underpasses, and which has its own repercussions. Anyway, as you know, as you've heard, there's a whole patchwork of jurisdictional bureaucracy regarding where a homeless encampment is or homeless person might be, and the way to respond to that with the city or with the LAPD or even county sheriffs or Caltrans. And what Luis has done is kind of a guide, a flow chart, if you will, on how to navigate those waters. And if you see, an encampment underneath an underpass, who to call for that number. It's almost essentially like a 311 for homelessness. So if 311, as you might know, is if you report a pothole or report graffiti. And what we're trying to do, what he's trying to do is create almost like that situation where you report it to the certain authorities, and the right people respond. Another really important aspect to this system is that it gets reported and put on a list, and and that creates more of a hot zone, and could get more attention from the city and from our, from the state as to the plight that we're all suffering. So there's two things that need to be done. Number one, I'm asking somebody, maybe through outreach or just anyone on the board, or even, could be a stakeholder, to take this essential flow chart or this presentation created by Louise Oliard over in Studio City, and rebrand it and repurpose it for Greater Toluca Lake. And number two, find a way to distribute this effectively, this homelessness services guide to residents or stakeholders of Greater Toluca Lake, so they can then respond appropriately to the situation. And I see a hand up by Joanne. Unless Robin, you have something else to add regarding?
Yeah, I have one more thing I want to say, unless
Okay.
this question is for.
Okay,
any
let
of
me,
these other items.
Hi,
Yeah.
Joanne.
Hi, everyone. This is where Toluca Lake is really the best, in my opinion, is public safety. I think that you guys have an amazing, even LAPD, I always hear them brag about Toluca Lake and your neighborhood watch system. I would love to see, I know it's asking for more work and more effort from you guys, but I know you put a lot into it already, but I would love to see you guys either hold seminars, put more on your website or other, so you can reach the greater area with what you guys do. Because I think we all realize, the crime isn't, like criminals don't know, okay, I'm just going to stick to Toluca Lake, or I'm just going to stick to this, it can travel, like, it's like this catalytic converter thing. It's going all over, and it's a group of people, or bike thefts, whatever. And I think you guys are outstanding in this area and could really help the greater, the surrounding councils around you grow in that area, and you would be really able to help in that case. Working with, and because I think we all need to know more what you guys are doing. And I just do want to give you guys, I'm sorry, I know I'm a little tough when it comes to the development issues, but I think you guys are superior and outstanding when it comes to public safety. And I just hope to put that little seed in there that maybe you would reach out to everyone else, so we can all learn from you.
Thanks, Joanne. We want to do that, and I'm asking you too, as a stakeholder, and you're valuable to us, to give us your ideas, or even help distribute this information.
Yes, Joanne, join our meetings the first Monday of the month at 7 p.m. And we welcome any suggestion. And, outreach, unfortunately, we haven't been able to move forward with outreach, but, through our website, we've been wanting to update the website and add certain links for that. But if you come to the public safety meeting, I will offer some suggestions through the Neighborhood Watch, through my LA 311 app. There's lots of ways to get information and get help.
Newsletter.
The other one, the newsletter, what's the app that everyone uses? Nextdoor. There are so many ways to get information. We're just one small part of safety in our community. But thank you for the compliment. We appreciate it. We work hard.
You do, and everyone does. This is a really good board. Everyone, it really is.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thanks for the compliments. Yeah, we appreciate it. We don't get many, so we appreciate it.
So we thank you.
I know, we're sorry.
very
I'm
true.
sorry.
The opposite. All the time.
So one last thing I'd like to talk about for public safety. I know that at our public safety meeting, it was discussed, especially with COVID being so prominent right now in our lives. Hopefully none of you had it. But I had to get a PCR test for a job, and I was having a very difficult time finding a location. I couldn't get an appointment anywhere, and it was a requirement for me to go back to work. So someone had suggested to me to go up to Universal. And I want to tell you, I was unbelievably blown away by how efficient they were. If you go up the back driveway of Universal, the one that goes up on the side, not off of Cahuenga or Lancashire, but the backside one near LA Fitness. You go up that back driveway, you pull in where the valet is, you turn left and go into the parking structure. There are multiple spots to park for free. The guard will guide you in. You get out of your car, you take your phone and you get the QR code. You fill out a quick form. You get into a queue, which looked like thousands of people would have been in line for this. There was nobody there. I went at 9 in the morning. They're open from 9 to 4. They have 3 different tables with staff waiting to help you. You go in, they hand you a swab, you do your test. They put it in the tube for you. You walk to the next table, you do the PCR test. The next table gives you your results. I was told the lab results for the PCR would take a few days because of the backup, and I had it by the end of the day. It was incredible, it cost me nothing, and I highly recommend if anybody needs to just get a COVID test or a PCR test, please go up to Universal. So that's my public safety announcement.
Robert Chavelli has a hand up. Hi, Bob.
I'll be very brief. Robin, this attack on Marietta and Riverside really has me trouble. So I would appreciate if it's not on your agenda, would you add it to it and speak to Curtis about it? I was surprised that he didn't know anything about it.
You bet.
Thank you.
Sure.
And as everyone probably knows by now, COVID test, COVID-TESTS.gov, place to get your 4 free COVID tests. I signed up today. I guess they're in transit. So I probably everyone knows that right now. So if you haven't done so, please do so. Get those tests. Robin, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, let's move forward. Any other questions? I don't see any hands raised from the public. So we're going to move forward to, we're jumping around a little bit tonight. Outreach. Okay, yeah, I just got an email from Paige. She had to jump off. She's with the meeting right now. She just emailed a few minutes ago, 10 minutes
Okay,
ago.
and no items were submitted anyway. So the meeting was cut short.
Yeah. So we're going to move forward. Can we go back to GAC? Looks like. Yeah.
We would be
Yes.
delighted.
Oh wait, hold on. Jonathan Gregory has something to say probably about the last about
Just quickly about the outreach.
Yeah.
It's at an impasse, having, without bringing, the meeting's getting too long. I'm not going to get into it, but something Colby, I recommend you get involved. Something has to be done to move it forward, because I guess there's not going to be a resolution of that company TYS until February, maybe. Meanwhile, nothing's happening. It's an impasse. Somebody has to break the impasse. Thank you.
Thanks, John. GAC, please.
Sure. So hopefully everyone had a chance to take a look at the summary document of the changes that we're proposing to make to our bylaws. For any of you that attended the bylaws training that Department of Neighborhood Empowerment put on, they did circulate a sample bylaws template, which is where we're going to get some of the language, but we would like to invite you all to make comments on these proposed changes before we go ahead and produce the red line for your review at next month's meeting. If you agree with items, there's no need to belabor the point. If you have disagreement, concern, or questions, please voice it now.
Yeah, and one of the things that we did, I suggested that we summarize the proposed changes. So what you have here is literally a page and a third or page and a half. And we've really worked this over in committee. We welcome your thoughts. It's mainly to streamline, in some cases to clarify, and in other cases to, I think, return or restore the power to board members to put things on the agenda, for example, among other things. So we look forward to your comments.
Open it up to the board.
Ad hoc committees. number 11.
Mhm.
And refresh my memory again about, I know we try to do an ad hoc committee for homelessness it's getting late, this year. I remember there was some, gosh, it's getting late, but I ran against a wall with Gibson, with Brown Act and things like that. Can you address any concerns I might be having about ad hoc as opposed to standard committees?
Yeah, so the main difference between a standing committee and an ad hoc committee is that the standing committee is intended to last for an extended period of time. Ad hoc committee is, Ren, can I have you mute for just a moment?
Sorry, Catherine, somebody.
So the standing committee will run for an extended period of time. Usually it will be a somewhat permanent committee. Ad hocs tend to last for about 3 or 4 months at a time. They are related to a single specific topic. For instance, some other neighborhood councils might have done a bylaws ad hoc committee that was exclusively working on the bylaws, as opposed to what we did, which was use the governmental committee to do the bylaws review over the last 6 months or so. But the other thing that's sort of unique about ad hoc committees is, unlike the standing committees, they don't allow for stakeholder participation. It can only be limited to a handful of board members. I believe the max is 3. So, and that 3 cannot comprise a quorum of any committee or the board itself. And so we're not making any changes to that. Those are requirements from on high. What we're changing is, right now, our bylaws say the president may establish ad hoc committees. We're opening up so the council may also establish ad hoc committees by a vote.
Okay, so it's not about ad hoc committees themselves, just who can establish it. I see that here, but I just remember, I mean, we'll talk another time, but talk to Gibson about this. There was, what I thought we could do was when I was working on trying to get a homeless ad hoc together, I found out we really couldn't do, but let's move forward. It's getting late. Anyone else have any questions about these proposed changes to the bylaws? Let's see, public to be notified of council vacancies. Would that be, how would we fulfill that notification? Would it be through the website, or how could we?
Yeah, so what was discussed was that it would be included in every single newsletter that goes out during the open period. It would be announced at any general meeting during the open period, and it would also be posted on the website. Ideally, we'd like to set up something where, you know, if you are interested in applying for the position, you can click this link on the website to submit yourself for consideration, you know, just a basic, you know, Google form or something like that, so that the public knows, you know, what the deadline for applying is, when the vote will be held, and so that anyone who's interested in submitting themselves for consideration can submit their name, candidate statement. And if it's for an open board position, a little stakeholder status information that we can pass on to the city for confirmation. Ren, go ahead. You might need to unmute.
Just wanted to kind of point out, generally, there's a movement here to take power away from the chair and have the overall board electing people and appointing people and all of that. It's going to make it harder on the chair to manage the GTLNC. I'm just you know, if you want to try it this way and see if it works, the chair is going to have to build consensus and work with all the members, which of course Colby, I think, is doing a good job of. But in the future, it could get very adversarial.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, and while I generally support this, I do want to note that it could lead to longer meetings in which there are, you know, contentious votes, if there is animosity on the board. Kevin, go ahead.
I echo Ren's sentiment That's my concern. I think that the bylaws certainly need to be updated, but there does certainly seem to be a drive to do what Ren had suggested, and that is a concern to me as well.
Thanks. Would have loved to have had you at one of our meetings as a former member of the governmental committee. All right, any other board comments?
But I just generally, I welcome a lot of these things, and some of them I feel that does add to a degree of red tape, which in theory works, in practice might not work as well, but I'm, I think, it's a good thing to discuss. Tess Taylor has her hand up also.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, I mean, this has been discussed quite a lot in government affairs, and everybody is welcome to participate. The idea is for board members to be able to agendize something, and if that's problematic, then the fundamental tenets of democracy must be problematic. I think it's important for board members to be able to agendize something. We can certainly make it done in such a way that frivolous things aren't agendized, but for board members not to be able to agendize something, to me, is a failing of the bylaws, which I would like to see corrected. And I would think that the board members would like that as well. So thank you.
All right, Robin, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that I agree both with Kevin and Ren, but I'm on the same vein. I feel like, at the beginning of the term, we voted for a president who is, elected by this board. And I think in the end, the person who should have the final say, even though the board gets to speak and votes on various matters, I think when there is an issue that needs to be resolved, that we elected the president, and the president should have, in my opinion, the final say. And if you don't agree with it, run again, maybe the next term, whatever. But, that's how democracy works. And I kind of feel like this is sort of the right way to go. But I may be wrong. If you can prove me wrong, I'm certainly willing to go along with something. I'm not really sure. I've seen contention, and I just want things to move forward. And I feel like we're constantly at a standstill. So that's my.
Well, democracy is majority rule. And yes, Colby did win, but I will remind you that it was by a coin toss, Robin.
Yes, it was this time, but I have been on the board for many years. I have sat in the audience for many years, and I have seen how the president leads the meetings and how he handles situations. So I agree that democracy is, majority rule, and the coin toss, it could have gone either way. But I also feel that there has to be somebody that sort of steps up and is in charge that we follow.
All right, and just to move forward, but I do feel like there's, it was an interesting procedure, and there is a lot of division. There was, and there still is. I feel it, and a lot of animosity towards me. But I remind everyone that I won't be president forever. In fact, I might only be president for another few months. That's a strong possibility. So whatever you vote in or change might apply to you, any one of you, stakeholder or board member or member of the public. You can be president too. So, I agree. I mean, it seems, maybe you want to take power away from me. That's fine, but you might be taking power away or an influence away from yourself in the future to govern. Because I won't be president forever. Trust me. Okay.
All right. Let's go to the public. Jonathan's been waiting patiently. Jonathan, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think there's a little bit of make-believe being talked about right now. First of all, Colby, I think you'd be a much better president if you had more input from the state, from the board. It's a representative organization that allows its board members to put items on an agenda for full consideration. It doesn't steal power away from anyone. What it does is it broadens the base of the sharing of power. What's being omitted from the conversation, catch yourselves on it, is what's good for the stakeholders. Forget about you. What's good for the stakeholders? The make-believe part is to act as if everything goes really well and time efficient. Now, it isn't. It's really tedious the way this has worked out. These bylaws are just awful, but I would actually like to narrow it down. To me, what's really important is that the nominations of the committee chairs and the youth member, because they're all voting, those are voting positions, should be nominated by the board itself to keep it representative. And that every board member sets the agenda. If you look, to me, the bylaws are extremely important, all of the details, for solving problems, not for creating them. And that's what we talked about in the committee. That's what I brought to the committee, is identify the weaknesses, the clumsiness, the things that aren't working. We're using Zoom, and that wasn't present when the bylaws were written. And there can be accommodations made in amending your bylaws to make it a much better, stronger organization that works for the stakeholders. So that's what this is all about. It's not about anybody's feelings or about taking anything away from everyone. It's about sharing so that when we have a meeting, it shows what's of concern to stakeholders. Now, the reason I'm aware of that is because sitting over there in West Toluca Lake, I was writing letter after letter to the man called Jason Friedman, who never put any of these very serious things going on in West Toluca Lake on your agenda, nor did he forward it to any committee to be acted upon as mandated by the organization that you're supposed to represent the stakeholder interests to the central government or the city government. So it wasn't working, and that's why I'm here. And that's why I wanted to have the bylaws amended so that the organization actually serves the stakeholders. And that's what you're supposed to want to do too. We're supposed to be together on the same page on that. So that's why I'm really asking you to share power, not to give it up, but you share it. It makes it a broader base and a stronger entity. Probably we wouldn't be having this conversation all about conflict of interest, which is, by the way, having to do with money.
All right, Jonathan, that's 3
Duality of
minutes.
interest, which, by the way, doesn't have to do with money. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, Joanne, I see your hand up. You can go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, I'll try to make this real brief. I do believe that there needs to be strong leadership. So I don't, this is all kind of new to me, but at the same time, I think I don't think in necessarily spreading the power out, because it is majority rule. You already vote on things, everything's like that. But there also does have to be strong leadership. Everyone benefits from that, and I'm not saying anyone's I'm not saying there's not strong leadership right now. I think what we need is maybe there's a lot of transparency, a lot of talk. That's where I think there's a lot of conflict right now, because there's the stakeholders that have issues and concerns they don't feel like they're being addressed, and I guess different people everyone has different ideas and what they're bringing to the table, so it's not always cohesive. So I don't know if we should take away power from the president. I don't know. That's kind of a scary concept to me. I don't, because then it's like, then maybe no one will agree. And you kind of need that one person to say, to kind of wrap everything up. So I'm for keeping the power of the president, but for everyone to work together to, with the stakeholders, to just be very transparent and trying to get what needs to be done together. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. All right, Fred, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, hey, sorry about that. I just want to say really quick, first of all, Colby, I think you're doing a great job. There's no animosity toward you, not that I know of. So carry on, and I hope that you are president for more than a couple months. So I was sad to hear that. Please get that thought out of your head, because I think everyone thinks you're doing a great job. So that being said, I do agree with Jonathan and Tess that the board should have an equal vote on what gets at the agenda, etc. That's all I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fred. Any other comments? All right, the next governmental meeting will be on Tuesday, February 1st at 6:30 p.m. We will be going over a draft red line based on both this document that everyone reviewed, as well as the comments we've heard here this evening. So if you would like to come participate in that, we welcome you. And we hope to have it ready to present at the February General Board meeting on Tuesday, February 15th. Our Valentine's Day present to you all.
Thank you,
All right.
Catherine. Looking back, did we miss anything, Robin? Looking at, we kind of jumped around a little
No,
bit.
we've got all the committees. We just need to see if there's any new
Yes,
business.
new business.
Officially 3 minutes to 11 p.m. God bless you all.
Well, hold on. I just want to bring up, I did get, hold on, that's a timer. I think some of you, or I don't know, there's a big email distributed this past few days about animal shelters in Los Angeles. And I guess during COVID, the staff at animal shelters has been cut to the bare minimum. Apparently, our furry friends are suffering. I started bringing this up because about 150, it looks like every neighborhood council president and a lot of other city related people received this email just calling this out. Just had to bring it up because of that reason. I don't know if anyone else received this email. I'm not sure about the validity of it.
I kind of don't understand. There was a little bit of confusion within the emails that it's not clear whether or not this is actually true.
Right.
So
I'm
I
not
think
sure
we
either.
would
That's why I'm calling out to you and asking everyone else if they got this or their thoughts on this. But okay, we'll move forward. Anyone else have new business? Please raise your hands. I don't see any new business. I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to call this meeting at 10:59 p.m. Thank you all.
Under the hour. Good
Thank you so
job.
much
Thank you, everyone.
for your endurance.
Thank you all.
Good night, everybody. I'll see
Good
you.
night.
We'll see you again on February 15th.
Hi, everybody.